This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, March 12th, 2019, episode 207. 217, rather. It's not 207. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 217 of Infection, the survival podcast. My name is Nick Craig. I'm very tired. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can visit our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. You can find all the information there. And joining me, sounding slightly less sick than last week, Brian with an eye Aldridge.
Next week, I hope we'll feel wonderful.
See, that's the thing, is you feel sick. You don't just sound sick. You're actually sick.
Yeah, I mean, I feel tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how when you just don't feel well, like you just don't. I mean, you're tired because you've been working like crazy.
Yeah. So maybe, have you ever thought of maybe, you know, Brian, I'm not coming at you or anything, Brian. We're very good friends. You ever think it's maybe just like, because you're just kind of like bottled up all day? You're kind of like just like home all day?
Because I sit in this room here all day long.
Like you do your school stuff, then we do the podcast, and you're generally a tech nerd, so you're always screwing around on the computer. I mean, could that be causing your sickness? Are you going crazy?
No, maybe I'm just like getting
cabin fever. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I got cabin fever. I didn't tell my wife. I said I need to get out.
You just want a vacation.
Except for I didn't feel well after Hawaii too. Like that.
That's because you left Boise and you were very upset. You were very scared.
I was a little bit homesick.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I did eat mangoes every day, twice a day sometimes while I was there. Now,
did they have real mangoes?
The thing is, I went there thinking I was going to find wonderful mangoes, and they were out of season. And so all the mangoes that I ate were all from Mexico. So
all the way to Hawaii.
That was kind of
real expensive vacation so that you could eat imported mangoes.
Well, I went to Costco and got some mangoes, and it said from Mexico. I was like, what?
You went to Costco in Hawaii?
That's like the only place to shop.
Huh. No Walmarts or anything?
So we went and got, well, they had a Walmart, but I mean, they were near each other. And if you're going to go, you might as well go to Costco.
Yeah, go big or go home.
And this is side news. We'll get to my contact information in a minute. They don't even let you have plastic bags there. So you go to Walmart and you have to carry everything out. And so that was kind of strange. So I did see those mangoes there. I didn't buy the dried mangoes. I bought fresh mangoes and I ate them for breakfast, and I would have one in the afternoon. So
congratulations. Thank you for your courage.
Thanks. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com, and make sure you go to our website, infectionpodcast.com, where we have links to all our past show notes. We have on there a link to our Discord, which is a great place if you want to suggest news throughout the week. It's really easy to do. There's a news channel on there. You can post it. We may or may not cover it. If it's something you just want other people to know, you're welcome to post it in there. We have on there a link to all of our audio forms. So whatever platform you might be using to listen to the podcast, we have a bunch of different links on there for that. Our YouTube channel, and then also a Steam group. You say, well, why would I want a Steam group? If you happen to be at your computer during our show today, this is the first show after a time change. So some of our European friends are saying, well, why are you early?
Where's Joe?
Well, yeah, where's Joe? Joe's not here yet. So
sleep.
If you would have been at your computer, been a part of our Steam group, and had Steam open, you would get a nice little pop-up right before the show starts, and it will remind you to come join the show live. So I think that's all of the self-promotion we have.
Excellent. Brian, what, you have to remind me, I had to work over the weekend and Friday night. What was game of the week? What'd you guys play?
So we played some Zira.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we played Zira. I had a group of us doing that. Went well. We kept getting killed by the same person. And I think it's a bug, but it said killed by fists, which brought me bad memories from other games when they're 20, 30 feet away, and then and you get killed by fists. So I did report that to Jeremy, as far as, I don't know if it was hacking or if it's just a bug that sometimes it's registering a gunshot as a fist.
Yeah.
But he can look at it. And then I think that we just suck at the game is personally.
I mean, that might be that might be the most, we've been very out of touch on gaming. I do want to.
I know we want to say hackers, but
Yeah, sometimes you just suck at a game, and I had a. Did I talk about my eye-opening experience with League of Legends? Was that this week or last week? Where I
that was
uninstalled
last
the game?
week.
Okay,
Yeah.
I still haven't played. By the way, I haven't reinstalled it.
Good.
Firebomb subscribed with the coming in with the 3-month resubscription. Thank you very much, Firebomb. Appreciate it. Gravity Beard says sounds like H1Z1 getting punched to death by fists from across the map. That
Through walls.
definitely sounds like
Yep.
it. All right, so Zira. It looked like a good time. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to jump in there, but there will be other play tests that we'll be taking advantage of here. Coming up this week is a game, Brian. Actually, I'm going to give you two options. We've got two possible options here. We wanted to play the Realm Royale new update. They've changed the class system and the whole thing, so we could do that, or we could do the new H1Z1 update that we'll talk about, which we've been talking about for a couple weeks now, which is their big PS3 preseason 3 patch. We do have to play it at some point. It's a new patch.
Yes.
It's H1Z1. So I will give you, Brian, or you maybe want to flip a coin. I don't know what you'd like to do to pick what we do here. Your call. I'm fine with either.
I guess we could play some H1Z1.
We're back, baby. The H1Z1 podcast is back. Ladies and gentlemen, dust off your hard drives and get H1Z1 installed. It's actually not called H1Z1 anymore. It's called Z1 Battle Royale. We're going to give that a try this Friday night, coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern time, which is, I believe we're in Eastern Daylight Time now, I think is what we're in. EDT, I think, or I'm not sure. I think we're in EDT now. So 8 o'clock on the East Coast, we'll be starting our Infection Game of the Week, and we are going to wait. We're going to play the long-awaited, but this patch we've been waiting months for, the H1Z1 patch. So
and they went fairly quiet up to this point.
Yeah.
Like, there was a long time where Chase was just talking about it, and then something happened. Whatever it was, like he pretty much just quit talking about it.
I feel like it was after that big expose that was it VG 24/7 did, or one of those games.
Pretty much called him out.
Yeah, and then I think he shut up after that, from what I remember. He did like a 3-hour Periscope. That's the last thing I remember watching or seeing with him. It's been a while. Nevertheless, big update, old school H1Z1. If nothing else, I don't want to set us up for failure. If nothing else, we'll have a good time reminiscing as we always do. We'll joke. We'll go back and find our old H1Z1 screenshots. We'll cry a little. It'll be a great time. Everybody's going to have a good old time. So join us Friday night for that. The Z1 Battle Royale Season 3 is going to be starting here. It's the free-to-play Battle Royale game previously known as H1Z1 Battle Royale. So
Very good.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Well, do you want us to jump into news, or do you have a game you maybe want to talk about first?
It seems like we want to start off with H1 quickly.
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of a big topic here. So their season 3 thing, they're calling this whole thing is based off of pre-season 3. So they're calling this launch season 3. They haven't done a season since November. So let's go through some of the things. This is a pretty massive update. There's a little note here from Anthony Castro, who's the GM behind it. I'd go ahead and recommend you read that. They talk about some of the things that they're working on. I'm going to nail a couple of the points here. So the first thing is that they've done a rebrand of the user interface. So it's saying when you launch into the game, they had their UI designer not revert back to an old interface, but remake some of the similar styles on the new interface. Those things include, the kill feed, the player remaining section, and some of the other menu and UI elements. So that stuff is going to be very similar to what you may remember from times before. Now, here's the big section right here is what they call movement, animation, and stance. And this is whether they talk about the feel of the game. So there's a couple of animations that they've recreated, again, all based along the PS3 patch. These include run, jump, crouch, the weapon swap and reload animation, ADS, aiming down sights, passive stance, active stance, and player framing. I'm not familiar with this term, player framing. Are you familiar with that? Player framing? I don't believe I've ever heard that used before. I've heard it used, but I don't remember what it is, though.
I wonder if that's referring to where the player sits in the camera.
Yes, that makes
like
sense.
in the scene. I would assume that that's what they mean by player framing.
Okay, so
But
player framing.
I'll double check that there's not some other term that it's specific to.
And then now the next three things are values, mathematical values that were restored from PS3. Those include run speed, jump height, and the strafe speed. So the goal with this was to recreate as much of the feel as PS3, but with the new elements of the game, the anti-cheat feed, all the things that they've worked on since that playtest. Now, some would say, why don't you just go back to that patch? I mean, there's months and months and months worth of back-end changes that they'd made to the game with server changes, things, just incompatibilities that aren't realistic. So essentially, they're modeling it after an older version, which is kind of why it took so long. So we have the feel. That's good. Next thing here is...
I have a feeling, too, that if you would go and look at that code, there's probably some really sloppy, thrown together quickly code in there.
In the old one, probably.
In the old one. That's what I'm saying, is they probably looked at some of it and said, we're not going to fix this. It'd be easier, and they'd probably have a better understanding, be more comfortable with it, just making it from scratch, but making it feel like the other one.
Yeah. I do want to thank our friend UGX Vibe for hitting us with the resubscription 13 months in a row, which is very cool. So subscribed here over a year. Thank you, UGX Vibe. Appreciate it. I'm to buy him lunch at some point. I've been every time I end up blowing him off for lunch, I get busy. So the next thing here is combat and gun mechanics, and this one there's a couple things in here. So the AR-15 restored PS3 recoil and bullet speed, as well as the AK-47, the shotgun. So those three things had recoil, bullet speed restored. The M1911 restored the recoil, fire rate, and bullet speed from PS3. The sniper rifle restored recoil, the sway, and bullet speed. Now here, this is pretty crazy. They've removed the Hellfire SMG. So they took a new gun out, and that they reintroduced the M1911A1 to the game. So they got rid of that. Melee weapons had a quality of life cleanup to responsiveness. Not that people melee a whole lot, but melee was kind of a part of that game. So they've done that. And then the ADS snap speed when strafing and jumping, I guess, was also restored to the PS3 combat. So Brian, this is like a full revert. The recoil and bullet speed is essentially how it feels to shoot the gun. And they've reworked all of those. Some of it is mathematical with the mechanics, but some of it is also the animation and the way that the game kind of spits the end result of that out. So that's cool to see. Now,
one thing, I was actually speaking with somebody, with Jeremy, and he was saying that with H1Z1, they actually have the bullet, where it fires the bullet from, is from above the head, which is kind of strange. So if you've ever wondered why a game like H1Z1 may feel a little bit different than some other games when you're firing, usually games, what they'll do is fire it from the muzzle. So on the weapon itself, and that may change from weapon to weapon, it'll do what they call, ray a cast, and it will figure out, okay, from the end point where the sight is to the end of the gun, that's the bullet trajectory. He also had said that CSGO does it from the eyes. So depending on what game you might play from, because I was playing with it in Unreal and trying it from both different places and seeing how it does it differently. Depending on what game you're used to playing, you may find that the bullet hits, maybe if you're trying to shoot over a ledge or shoot over a car, it could be a lot of it. And I would assume that they kept that same position in this as well, because that kind of makes it feel like H1Z1.
Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. All right, so our next section here, Brian, is world and environment rework. So now this I kind of disagree with a little bit. They say that one of the big parts of the King of the Kill era was the overall color palette, textures, and lighting of the world. I thought the color palette sucked. The game was kind of
I didn't like
dreary and
King of
had
the
a
Kill.
blue tint. I mean, I didn't think the color
I'd never
looked
liked
very
the King of the Kill colors. I always thought it was just either they overdid
well.
it
Ugh,
or it just
bl-
wasn't
bland, just
wasn't. I
not
never
good.
thought the King of the Kill was nice.
So, nevertheless, they're bringing it back to PS3. I guess a lot of people like that. So they've actually not just the colors and whatnot. They've removed a whole bunch of POIs. They removed 3 or 4 different POIs from there. They restored the lighting models. They restored the ground textures and roads, which I'm not sure with the road. They did a massive change to the roads after PS3, from what I remember. They restored and optimized the flora, and then they restored and optimized the trees. They say in quotes here, we were able to fix the level of detail and hit collision issues with these assets that existed during the PS3 era. So, Brian, here's an example of what you said of kind of garbage code that existed in PS3 that dealt with or contributed to the feel of the game that were broken things that they say they were able to fix. So the trees look like garbage level of detail wise. They just look like sticks with like little green stems coming off of them. So they were able to fix that, and then I guess they've dealt with the collision and whatnot. So that is good. They've also done some changes to the loot distribution system as well. All right. Another thing on here is that the vehicle mechanics and tuning for all vehicles, the boost systems were reworked to provide forward acceleration that propels the vehicle forward in general. The driving was always a little different. Now, I'm not going to say weird. It was just different than almost everything else in H1Z1. So they've done that. And then the seat swapping mechanics returned to the PS3 format. I honest to God don't know what.
I don't remember how
were.
they changed it and past that. I mean, that's what I remember is how it was then. So.
We're a little out of touch on this because I just don't remember all this stuff. They did reworks to the off-roader, pickup truck, police car, taxi, and ATV. They pretty much reset all the values to PS3. That's kind of the long and the short. Parachutes. Now, this is interesting. They introduced max strafe speed back to PS3 values. The parachutes have always sucked in H1Z1. Notoriously have been bad. So we'll see if they continue to have that very clunky.
Here's the concern, and maybe you could give me some input on this.
Okay.
My concern is that when they first released this, there weren't that many games doing the parachute sequence. There were some Arma games or Arma mods that were doing this kind of parachute sequence, and Arma is horrible at dealing with these kind of things. I mean, the parachuting sequence in Arma was just not good. And so that's kind of what people were basing their comparison on. Now we have a lot of other games that deal with parachuting in a much better way. You have much more control. You can actually judge things better. Do you think people are going to be happy with everything being like PS3 when they have so much to compare it to now with, for instance, parachuting?
I will answer your question after we go through these updates because that kind of works directly into what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Remind me when we finish these updates. I do want to answer your question, but I don't want to dovetail off because I will. I have no self-control. So, Brian, those are all the things that they reverted back to PS3. That's kind of the thing there. And this is what they've been talking about. Look and feel, look and feel, look and feel. So they did that. Now, new features. We've talked about this a little bit, but they've added a mission system. So players will be given a match mission or quest as an optional task to try and complete during a game. The challenge will show up as you are parachuting into that game and will expire at the end of the map. This system will have many different challenges that rotate and have different degrees of difficulty. Completing challenges will reward players with credits, fragments, or crates, depending on what the difficulty of the challenge that you completed was. And they show here a little bit of what that may look like. Very hard, elite, and then extreme. You can see what you get for the different tiers. Some coins, then you get depending on how crazy the challenge may be, something like a crate. So, for an example, get 15 kills, right? That's a pretty extreme challenge. Most players are not going to get 15 kills in a 100-man match. So that may be an example. Now, here's the fragment system that we had alluded to, but we didn't really have any information on. So let's look into what this actually entails. As you complete matches, so any match, you will be able to find fragments in defeated players' loot bags. Whoever loots the fragment first will receive the credit. So not the kill, it's whoever loots the bag first. It's a first come, first served system. And they also note, please make sure you check other bags. Now, you could have two people fighting on different sides of a gorge, right? They kill the other team, but they don't have time to go loot their body. and you run up upon 4 or 5 bodies, you assume they're looted. They might not be, so they say that. There are 2 different types of fragments in the game, red and blue. 20 blue fragments will net you 100 in-game credits, while 5 red fragments will grant you a conquest crate. Blue fragments drop off of every eliminated player, so every person that is killed will have one of those in their bag, and the red fragments will be a 1 and 20 rarity of drop. So they show an example here of what those fragments look like, and I guess the goal with this is, Brian, to do something that you always talk about. Give players something to do when they log in. You now have a quest system, which will give you something to do in game. This is something that Dead by Daylight does really well. Now you also have a system of, now maybe you want to engage. Now normally sometimes you just let people go because there's just no benefit till the end of the game. Now there may actually be a benefit if you're trying to get whatever skin or crate or whatever, and you need more fragments to get in-game credits. There's a reason now to engage, maybe, depending on your play style. So they've got that. Now, here's another reason as well. Daily challenges. They're adding a new set of daily and weekly challenges. You can see here an example of what they have here. Complete 1 solo match, place in top 5 in a 5-man game, kill 25 opponents with an AR-15, and kill 4 opponents in duo. So those are some examples of the dailies that they show. And there's a couple.
And like with us, sometimes we'll rage out after 1-2 games.
Yeah.
This is going to get people to at least try. Let's say that they get a tour. They can get 3, 4, 5 games out of you and get you past that hump of, I haven't played in a long time, I keep getting killed. If they can get people past that, you'll get people then willing to play it quite a bit because they feel like they're doing pretty well.
Well, and I think one of the issues that games like PUBG have is that if you're not good at the game, like I'm not, there really is no place for you. Like, you're just going to get your ass handed to you time and time and time and time again. But they can add little things like this. It's almost like a participation trophy, Brian. But I mean, that's kind of what it is for players that, like myself, that don't get a whole bunch of kills. You at least get something. And again, you know, after 2 games, you're not like, well, I've died instantly 2 games in a row. I've got nothing to show for it. Okay, uninstall, see you again in 6 months. So there is there is a something mentally with these challenges and missions and fragments and all this other kind of stuff that they're adding into the game, which I think is interesting and keeps players, potentially could keep players more active. And here's a quick look at the home screen here, and they show in here, which is pretty neat. If you play with the same group of people frequently, they will just randomly show up in your home screen. Even though you're not playing with them, they will just kind of show up in there and be part
your
of
top 5 or whatever.
Yeah,
top 4.
Exactly. It'll just kind of load them into the home screen, which is kind of cool. That's just an aesthetic thing. But this has got this is the king of the kill menu. You can see with the teams in the upper right-hand corner, everything else going on. So, other than that, they go into some stuff about ranked and solo versus ranking. Their showdown tournament, which is taking place on Wednesday the 29th and Thursday the 30th, which is in May. They talk about qualifications and rewards and a whole bunch of other things that they've got in here. Overall, a very large update for H1Z1. Z1 Battle Royale. That's the name of the game now. I don't have, let's say I do have Steam open. Have they changed the name of it inside of Steam yet? I know it's changed in the store, but in your library?
Well, that's the question.
I think I had, it is. Yeah, it's Z1 Battle Royale. It now shows that in my library. So if I
install it before this Friday.
Yeah, there it is. Z1 Battle Royale is in my library there. So search for that. And you'll be able to go ahead and get on that on Friday. So we're looking forward to playing that for our game of the week, and then they go through miscellaneous bugs and fixes and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Bunch of new skins.
Yeah. I don't know. I think. Okay, let's go back.
So the question.
Yes, your question, and we've talked about this. What people want old H1Z1, but when old H1Z1 was out, there were 2 games to play.
Yep.
PUBG and H1Z1, King of the Kill. And that was it. Fortnite was out, but I think Fortnite was maybe in its infancy.
I mean, but the thing is, they were the only thing for a while. Then those came out.
Yeah, but PS3, I believe there was PUBG and
but
Fortnite
PS3, I think that's when those things first popped up.
Now, we went over, what was that, 3 weeks ago? We did our, talked about all the Battle Royale games that are out there. There are 20 plus Battle Royale games out there. By the middle of this year, there will be 25, 30 plus Battle Royale games out on the marketplace. And you asked me, do you remember, what was your question again? I want to actually give you the answer you were looking for.
So with all of the other games that now have mechanics that at the time when H1Z1 was out were new, or there was only the Arma versions, because a lot of these only Arma had them at the time, and then they put them into H1Z1. Then some games started to come out. You had Fortnite come out, PUBG came out, but they were still pretty new. Now today, fast forward, they're reverting all of these changes and making it feel like the preseason 3 version. Do you think people are going to be happy with things like the strafing on the parachute sequence, and even how the gun, the camera feels on the character and the way that the guns shoot? Do you think now that there's all these different versions of how it can be done in games that have improved upon the mechanics, do you think that people are going to come back to this and realize, oh, it wasn't what I remember?
Okay. Do I think people will come back to this game?
Yeah.
The answer is, I think these changes and this patch and all of these things are for the H1Z1 super fans. These are for the people that are all in on H1Z1. These are the people that are still posting on the subreddit. These are the people that are still talking about it on Twitter. That's who this is for. I really don't think, and I could be totally wrong, I really don't think you will see a mass influx. Now, to say their player count will jump by hundreds, if not thousands, it will jump by thousands of players because it's a new big update. But I don't think you'll find that tomorrow H1Z1 is rivaling a game like ROE in terms of player count or any of these other games. I mean, there is just a massive, there is a massive difference between H1Z1 and almost the entire Battle Royale market. It's such a different game. The game feels so much different. And I really don't think that they're going to win back old H1Z1 players.
Yeah. And that's the thing is,
I could be wrong.
A lot of the numbers were China. If you look at what's going on with PUBG, a lot of those players are still there. Why? I'm not 100% sure. Why haven't they moved over to other games? I mean, we've talked about a lot on this, maybe because they can still cheat in PUBG. I was actually watching Dano play PUBG here about 2 nights ago or last night. And of course, all these people in the game that were shooting and they were coming up against all had Chinese style names. And at the end, the guy who killed them had 29 kills in the game. And he was making shots that just didn't seem realistic. So do you think those people are going to be like, oh, H1Z1's back, we'll go and cheat in that game instead? Do you think that?
I don't know if that will be the case. Here's the thing.
I mean, that's the only thing that's going to bring the numbers that these guys may be thinking they're going to get. I would assume they understand and actually know what their audience was. Do they want those people back?
Are you asking me if Nat G wants these people back?
Wants the Asian community back.
I don't know if they want. I don't know if they want the Asian community back in this game, but I do think that there
was not a very big U.S. presence back.
That remains to be seen what's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, there's so many other games now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what what the plan is or what they're going to do. I will say this. There will be I guess we'll talk about it at the end of the show. There will be a couple thousand player jump in players. That will happen. But like everything else, these people are going to play it. You're going to have a little bit of a honeymoon phase where, oh my God, hey, I'm playing with my buddy I haven't played with in 2.5 years. Like, hey, dude, you want to play some H1Z1? Yeah, you guys play for a couple days. Hot damn. And then you're done. And then you're back to Apex or PUBG or Fortnite or whatever other Battle Royale game. I don't know. I don't think they're going to hold a constant. I mean, the numbers.
See them getting 1 million players again.
It's not even million players.
I don't
Brian.
see 250,000 players. I don't see them getting 100,000 players.
No. Here's the question. Prior to this update, the numbers from what I remember, the current player number would fluctuate between 1,000 and 1,500, and the 7-day peak, 24-hour peak, was less than 2,000. The question is, a month from now, is the player count now 2,500, or is it like 10,000 for a 7-day peak? Because if it's only 2,500, they've put in all this work and they've gained maybe an additional let's just say 1,000 additional players. That's in my estimation, that would be a failure. If after all of this work and all this time, all you added was 1,000 concurrent players to your max count. Now I know that the H1Z1 developers get really freaking triggered when you talk about current players. They get all pissy. Well, just because it doesn't matter. Current players is what the numbers that people see. I don't give a shit what your back-end statistics say. The current players are what everybody has access to. This is what we base games off of because this is the information I have. I don't care how many people logged onto your servers. I don't care how many people opened your launcher. It's irrelevant to me. Every game is compared the same way when you look at sites like SteamDB with Steam Spy. We see how many people at one point in time, which is typically Friday night or Saturday night in the United States. That's when people are hanging out, not in school, not at work. What is the number at that peak? That's what we see. And if we only add 1,000 to that number, that's a fail in my opinion.
Well, but the other thing that they have to go against is this is a free to play game now. What are they going to be doing to bring in money? So if you bring up 1,000 new players, how many of those people are going to buy skins, pay for different things, season passes, whatever it is? How many of those people are going to turn around and actually put money back into the game?
Well, now with this whole coin quest system, I don't know if it's going to have keys to unlock the chests. Maybe that's probably the way they're going to go, if I had to guess, because
they need some way to pay these developers now. This is not hey, we're just making a free game because we love the community so much.
Well, they do have skins. I'll scroll through them. There's a whole bunch of skins on.
That's what I'm saying. Is from these 1,000 players, are they going to be able to get enough recurring income to keep these developers hired? So that's going to be the question.
I don't know, Brian.
I want to see going forward. If they only bring on 1,000 people, you have to turn around, then get a high percentage of those actually paying money for something to keep paying your company.
I don't know. 1,000 was just as a number I'm using as an example.
I'm just saying, whatever it is, they have a certain percentage that have to spend a certain amount of money every month. To pay their bills.
Now there is a possibility that the number sits around maybe 6,000 for a 7-day concurrent peak. That would be on par with. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Thank you, PHVCK, for the subscription. I can't read his comment. Isn't that corrupt? I'm trying to think. So,
we have all these memes going on right now because we were watching movies in his stream.
Yeah,
and it's just really horribly acted movies. So
I think a game like Realm Royale has got probably a 6,000-ish player 7-day peak. Maybe it's a little bit higher. That would be a good number. 6,000 to 10,000 players would be like ROE's probably got numbers near there. I know Realm Royale's got numbers near there.
And that seems to be kind of the sweet spot of the game that's not just the hot game of the moment for streamers. That seems to be where they kind of settle down at.
Yeah. Thank you, TechZone707, our friend Sean, for the resubscription. We appreciate it. I don't know. I'm not, Brian, is it possible that we play this Friday night and we get, I'm not going to say hooked, but we like it enough that we decide, hey, maybe play Saturday night, maybe play, next Monday, maybe we play next Thursday. Is it possible that this is a game that for call it 2-3 weeks, people are pinging each other to say, hey, Brian, what's up? You want to play a couple games? Is it possible that happens? Because that's where you see your 10,000 concurrent player count, is when people are pinging each other.
That's how I originally felt with PUBG.
That's how it was. Yeah.
And yeah, you were like, hey, let's play. And I just haven't felt that urge with a number of the recent ones. Not that they're not good. Like Apex is good, but I just haven't had the desire to really play it.
Yeah, neither have I recently.
Yeah.
I did at one point have the urge. I haven't, honest to God, Brian, I haven't played a video game since the last video game I played was League of Legends when I uninstalled it. That was 2 weeks ago. I've been very busy, and that's not my excuse. I've had time if I wanted to. I just haven't. We talk about this all the time. I mean, have you been playing a whole lot of anything, or you just been kind of hanging out?
I mean, I've been mostly playing console games for when I'm like
peasant
in the evening. So, I mean, I've been playing like some Arma things the last couple weeks, and played some Zero this weekend. But other than that, I've been mostly playing. I even have like the New Mutant Year Zero, which is the Humble Bundle monthly game coming out. I have that. I haven't even launched it yet, and that looks like a really fun game. I haven't even launched it, and I redeemed it. That shows you, like, I've been working on the game that I'm working on. Like when I get at my computer, either I'm doing school or I'm doing that, because like I'm trying to make it so that this is my last term of school. So if I'm here, I feel like if I'm not working on something, then I feel like I should be, right? It just makes it really hard to play games when I feel like I'm obligated to do something else.
Yeah, I don't really have an excuse. I'm just not interested. And I guess it's because you're right. There's just not a game at this point in time that's got me, when I'm sitting, I'm sitting here at, call it 6:30, and I'm like, what to do? Watch YouTube videos, listen to a podcast, or play a video game. Well, play a video game isn't happening. It's watch a YouTube video or listen to a podcast. I mean, that's honest to God, that's what's happening. So, I mean, again, I don't know if anybody actually cares about that. I'm just telling you personally what's going on with me. I'm venting. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
I've been watching Ross play a lot of Apex.
Yeah, actually, I have been watching our friend.
I'll watch his stream.
He streams
and
all
for
the
me,
time.
It's just as enjoyable.
He streams all the time. Ducky B is saying it's hard to play games when you have a life, and I think the thing there, Ducky, is it's not that it's hard to play games. You have to be really into a game to say, I want to do this instead of that.
List all the other things that you could be doing at
it's
that
not
moment.
Other things I want to do.
Yeah.
Do I want to sit here and watch 8 to 12 minute YouTube videos for 4 hours, or do I want to play a video game?
Yeah.
That's what's going on. So, all right, let's pivot out of here. Nevertheless, H1Z1 big update, season 3 starting. It started on the 6th, March 6th. Last, of course, they waited a day after till we were. They needed to give us some time to mull over the notes so that we could cover it exclusively here on the show.
Yep.
Friday night, our game of the week. Hopefully you'll join us. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe if you're a listener of this podcast and you played H1Z1 with us, yeah, you're one of the OGs. I know you're out there, because every once in a while I hear from you. Come join us Friday night. We'd love to have you, and love to see some. I'm going to say old names, but some AFK users pop back up. We've got our friend Gravity Beard hanging out here in Twitch chat, a name that we had not seen in quite a while. So come hang out. Coming out Friday night, we'll have a good time. Our friend Langun will be there, so he's going to be joining us Friday night for H1Z1. So if you want to chat with him, show up Friday night. He will definitely be there, no doubt about it. Now that I've pressured him here to do it. So, all right. There's H1Z1, Brian.
Let's talk about some general gaming news here for a minute.
All right, what you got for me?
So first of all, there was some news that one of the top streamers got hurt and is out of commission for a little bit because of a scooter accident. So now
I'm not laughing at the scooter accident. I'm laughing at a totally unrelated thing. I'm not laughing at the scooter accident.
So the thing is, I guess having coordination with your mouse hand is not the same as being able to ride a scooter at the same time. So, so this one, he actually hurt his left hand. So people were really concerned that he hurt his right hand because he is a competitive player. So this is Shroud. Nisco says the scooter was going 55 miles per hour.
I'm sorry. You shouldn't be riding a scooter at 60 miles an hour. That doesn't sound.
Well, now, do you think this was one of those sit-down scooters, or do you think this is one of those ones that you rent off the street?
No, it's probably I mean, it's probably one that you
probably
rent.
Can you imagine him sitting there like this in a little helmet riding a scooter? I couldn't do it. Sorry.
Okay.
Will not have a picture of me doing that. But hey, if you ride a scooter, no.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Wouldn't have a picture of you doing that. But you'd have a picture of you dressed like a cowboy, or you eating mangoes, or you dressed up as Dr. Disrespect. Those pictures exist. Or you being a detective staring into a boardroom at PAX West.
But those are in
to see
this
what's going on
here. I don't actually walk out the door and look outside.
That's true. That is very true.
I sit in this room here.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he hurt his arm. So he will not be streaming for a little bit while that heals up, and he's got to get surgery on his elbow because of this.
Oh, that sucks. And I think our friend Sean noted that him not streaming is because Nisco is talking about the current most watched games
Apex
on Twitch.
Players. Yep.
And he posted a screenshot, but I'm going to pull an update here. Fortnite's got 169,000 people watching. Apex got 72. Now, Shroud streaming doesn't add 100,000 people, but Shroud streaming does add probably 40,000, and then adds other people streaming it because he's streaming it. So,
well, also a lot of streamers like to group with him. So Dr. Disrespect will group with Shroud quite a bit, and so you get these guys that'll make a 3-man, because this is a 3-man only. It's a group only.
Yeah.
So if he's streaming, that means that he's usually probably streaming with 2 other big streamers, which makes it to where you can get closer to that 100,000 people.
I think that's why it's interesting. I mean, not that I don't care that the guy got hurt. I mean, that sucks, but it genuinely has impacts on Twitch, and impacts on Twitch we have seen in the past roll down to what people want to play. I mean, we've seen this time and time again with what's trending on Twitch. I don't know what, I'll pull Twitch back up. I don't know who's streaming Fortnite right now, but I wonder if there's an event or something going on. That seems high for a Tuesday night, but I could be wrong. No, there's nothing going on. Just
in general.
Yep. Just in general, just that many people streaming it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So it'll be interesting to see. It's amazing now how the popularity and all of this can fluctuate from week to week. So where you look at Apex, people are playing it like crazy, but people go back to Fortnite. I mean, I was wondering, is this going to be finally where Fortnite kind of starts to drop off?
Clearly not.
And it doesn't look like it.
Sell EA stock. Get out of there. But it's obviously still, for some reason, Summit's playing GTA as well. Right now, he's got 50,000 viewers in GTA. So
like 1/3 of the total.
Yeah. So he if he was playing Apex or Fortnite, that number would obviously be a lot different. It's funny that him playing that game has now boosted everybody else up in that category. It's very funny how that works.
Yep.
And Doug is asking, do you think the doc will go back to playing some H1? Will that boost the numbers?
I
promise you he will.
I promise you he will.
I don't even see H1. H1Z1 only has 3,000 people watching. Right. There are more.
I bet you he will try it.
Stop. There are more people watching ASMR on Twitch than H1Z1 right now. There are more people watching StarCraft 2, Escape from Tarkov, and Dungeons and Dragons than H1Z1.
But the thing is you don't watch H1Z1 because it's interesting. It comes down to the personality of the streamer. That's all people care about. So that's the reason that H1Z1 would get any numbers if the doctor is streaming it, or one of these other personalities are streaming it. People aren't watching it because, H1Z1 is so good to watch. The
top streamer right now in H1Z1 has only got 393 viewers. So you can kind of see how that, again, that lead streamer kind of sets the category. And it kind of goes down from there. All right.
Do you think Apex isn't paying, is like backed off on paying streamers?
Well, I'm sure
or
they
do you
had
think
a
that has
contract.
changed?
When did the game come out? A month ago?
About a month ago.
Okay,
yeah.
so they probably signed a
I wonder if
30-day
if the
contract.
month I wonder if the month is starting to drop off and that makes the numbers drop.
Oh, I'm sure that's absolutely why. I mean, I'm sure that has a whole lot to do with it. Yeah. But again, they'll come back. I mean, these streamers pop around. They'll find everybody's playing Fortnite right now. Then tomorrow it'll be Apex or whatever's going on. And, Fortnite's king, I guess. It's still here to stay. It's survived further than anybody thought was possible. So.
Yep. All right. So another thing, when we were at PAX, I don't remember if you remember seeing a booth that was talking about a game actually released by Valve.
Oh yes,
and people are saying this is like the first game that they've released in so long. Well, bad news is Valve has parted ways with Artifact creator Richard Garfield, who made that. This is a card game,
very similar to Hearthstone.
Very similar to Hearthstone, but you pretty much hear nothing about it. I think the graphics aren't as appealing. I'm not gonna say they're not as good, but they're just. Hearthstone has kind of a unique look and a cartoony look, and it's interesting. Artifact never really did. So a number of those people were let go.
There are 200 people playing Artifact.
Yes.
Wow.
And so you got to think this is
abysmal failure.
This is something that they had a decent sized booth at PAX.
They had a decent, Brian. They had a whole freaking corner of the damn show floor.
But this thing is Is this them? Are they going to shut it down? Like, what's this indicating? The fact that they let the creator go.
Their 7-day peak is 656 players. Valve. This is the first game they've released since Portal 2. Now CS:GO came out after that. Since CS:GO
they put out that new CS:GO BR.
Yeah, but that doesn't really count. CS:GO came out in 2015, something like that. Since then. Like that. So, interesting.
So I don't know if I don't know if they've accepted that it's just not doing well.
Well, I mean, it's not. Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. And PH is saying Hearthstone is free. Artifact costs a bunch of money to get started. I guess you got to buy the cards or whatever.
Yep.
The
thing is, they hired on like Wizards of the Coast is really big in tabletop gaming.
Okay.
They hired on a designer from there. And then they had him.
I mean, it looked good. It looked like
he was from Magic the Gathering. So they're letting go all the people that are the designers of this.
Well, now the game's designed and it's not doing well. I mean, you don't really need to employ them, right?
Yeah, but this is a sign that they're not going to try to fix it because your designers would be the one who would fix to make it more appealing.
Now, I will say,
mechanics.
We don't know this. This massively OP does a hell of a job with these articles, but it doesn't. I read through this. It doesn't say if these people were contracted up until a certain point after the game launched. That is a possibility, Brian. These people could have not temporary employees, but we're hiring you to design and build Artifact 6 months after Artifact is released. The thing is,
it was a layoff, though. It wasn't like an end of contract. It was a layoff.
Okay.
And here's his quote. He said the contract termination, because it was contract termination, made sense, but we weren't surprised by the layoffs considering how rocky the launch was. The team was enthusiastic about the game. We're confident that they had a good product, but it became clear that it wasn't going to be easy to get the game to where we wanted it. And the game dropped from what was 11,000 average to, as you said, it's like what, 400 or 500 now?
Yeah. Like 200 right now. So that's interesting. I do want to thank our friend Johnny Fine coming in for the 13th month with a resubscription as well. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate it. I mean, it's not surprising. I know Hearthstone's popular and all. We've never seen numbers on it because it's a Blizzard game, but
they also have a tablet version.
I played it for a while on the iPhone, like when it first came out. That was neat. It was cool to play that for a while, but just like everything else, it kind of fades.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the thing is that you're looking for a shorter game to play on your tablet. Like that one's, you're committed for that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting since we had mentioned it when we got back from PAX originally. Hey, Valve was there, but we never went to that booth. Like they didn't have it to where you could just kind of wander in.
Yeah, we did. We walked behind it and I think looked at the back side of it because actually it was a play test. It was like it wasn't really a booth to be like, hey, here's our game. It was a booth to like stand in line to play it. They had a whole bunch of computers to play is I think what they had. So it was more like a hands-on thing than it was like, hey, here's a new game that is coming out or a demo.
Well, wouldn't it make sense to make it? I mean, it's not free to play,
which is stupid.
In the true sense. This seems like it'd be a game that if you really care about cards and things like that, you could come up with ways that they can maybe buy packs, but just give the game away so that people can play a base version without any of that.
I mean, there's a couple of these card games.
They've got to get people into the door on this kind of a game.
I wonder what Steam will. I wonder what Steam's plan is for the next project. I wonder what their plan is. I mean, the game is $20. The game is $20.
Yeah, I mean that's expensive for a card game that there's competition. I mean, you could just turn around and play Hearthstone and probably have just as much fun.
Its recent reviews are mostly negative. Its overall reviews are mixed. It's been out since November. Late November, 28th. So,
and for as far as refunds, they say once you've claimed your starter decks and card packs, you will be ineligible for an automatic refund via Steam.
Well, they shouldn't give you a refund. I mean, you paid for the game. They haven't canceled the game. They're not
I'm saying
shutting down the servers.
But as far as usually if you have a certain amount of time, they allow you to cancel, refund if you haven't played over a certain period of time. Here they say and I understand the reasoning behind this, if you open the starter decks, because there's a chance of randomness.
Yeah, there is a
with
huge
these
chance.
Cards.
Yeah,
you could say, oh, I didn't get the cards that I wanted. I didn't get an ultra rare card, whatever it was. You could refund, then turn around and buy it again.
Yeah, that's kind
try
of
to get the card.
So
it's
that doesn't
because of this. I understand why they wouldn't, but people are going to complain and say, oh, it's because they don't want people refunding the game because it's doing so poorly.
Yeah, I don't think Valve's got a money problem, so I doubt it's that.
It would just make sense for them to make it free to play, make it so you can buy decks of cards for a reasonable price, and people can try just like they do in the real card games, the physical card games. You could turn around and sit there and try to, all right, I'm going to buy a pack. I'm going to get a random chance at a really rare card. Come up with a system where you can kind of recycle old cards or, the cheap cards that you got a ton of. Like they could probably make much more money doing that than what they're making right now at this $20 to buy the base game.
Yeah, I think the ship is sailed. I don't see any point of them doing anything. Just let it wither away. I honestly, I don't think it's probably worth the time.
Is this this is probably their worst performing game they've ever done?
That I couldn't tell you.
Half-Life did very well.
Portal
did very well.
Counter-Strike.
CSGO does great.
Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead did great.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of another game that they had that did this poorly.
Yeah. I mean, this game was an abysmal failure. That may be an understatement.
So this is something. I mean, maybe this is a new feeling for them. We don't really know what they're going to do because I don't think they've ever had this big of a failure happen with one of their games.
Yeah.
So.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, do you have a preference on where we go from here? We're about halfway through almost.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's try to bang a couple things out here real quick. This is breaking, as in with like this just came out. DayZ. I don't have my music. Sorry. DayZ. I just saw this before we were getting ready to do the show here. DayZ 1.0 is launching on the Xbox One. Now, if you remember, I played this, got a key somehow, played it, recorded it, and I think played some of it on the show. On March 27th. So that will be 2 weeks from now. And they go through their program. So Xbox did a big event today. We'll talk about one other thing that came out there later on in the show, but they're doing their full 1.0 release on Xbox. So just a couple of the patches for this update, this will be 1.01. This will be the patch that have these changes in it. Improved rendering performance, optimized inventory performance, better inventory interaction. That includes changes in the UI to better navigate the inventory. Inventory on the console is a huge pain in the ass. A new
Yeah.
controller layout, good. Again, when I played it, huge pain in the ass. Couldn't figure out how to load the gun. Couldn't figure anything out. Introduced some missing controls, things like holding breath, leaning, dodging, and better optic interactions. General improvements to player controls. They forgot the M. Improvements. And nighttime improvements as well. So that's what they're going on. They have like a 4-minute cinematic trailer that you can watch. That's called "Every Day Is a New Story." It's a cinematic trailer. I watched it. It's pretty good. But yeah, big news for DayZ. This is interesting. I will give this a try. Somebody hold me accountable. Remind me to play this again. I'll reinstall it.
I still have never purchased DayZ, so
yeah, I have it on the I don't remember how I got it on the console. I don't remember how. I wonder if they gave us a copy. Somebody gave me a copy. I don't know who. It's forever ago. It was a really long time ago. But it was interesting when I played it. It wasn't bad. It was just weird.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it's weird that they're just finally adding some of the base functionality of like even leaning. That's a big Arma thing, where you lean.
But how do you lean on this, Brian? I mean, how do you? I know on the controller.
Swap triggers.
Again, those are maps.
The thing is, what are you giving up to do that? That's the question.
That's my point to you. Is you're just super limited on your buttons here. So, while I agree that leaning is a huge thing in the Arma community in those games, what's more important? Better, quicker gun. Cycling
you'd want to have
guns,
it to where maybe you can
leaning.
swap guns or you can zoom in and out on your.
That's what I'm asking. So I personally, I'd rather be able to more quickly navigate through my inventory or swap guns or do whatever, optic zooms, than I would leaning or strafing. Because again, here's the thing. In my opinion, on the console, you are not lining up this 5,000 meter sniper shot like you can on the PC, where you can very precisely get your mouse and lower your DPI to line up your shot. It ain't happening on the console. I'm sorry. So that more tacticalness of gameplay is
and this is something that big. All these Arma games have a tough time carrying over to console, because the one thing that you saw the same thing in PUBG. They wanted to have a lot of the similar feel to the original Arma, because that's kind of where the roots were from. But that stuff does not carry over to console. Arma has a million buttons and different things that you do, and to make it realistic and be an actual simulator. But when you go to console, you only have so many buttons. Very, very few buttons when you start trying to map them out. And like, as you said, what are you going to give up to have a lean function? Because they had to give up something. A new magic key didn't show up on a console or one of the console controllers. No, and I've actually got one right here. Look at this. I mean,
I know. I mean,
you've got 2 on top. You got 4 here, and then you've got what you're using for movement. You can push them in, right? So I mean, there's an extra 2. You have to assign every single one of these, and you're probably doing it to a quick bar, like your quick bar.
That's on the Xbox 360. The Xbox One has only got 4 D-pad buttons, not 8.
Okay, so you got even less. So
just saying.
I mean, that's the thing, is they're having to figure out. There's probably 10 to 15 things that they're wanting to put on there, but they're very limited.
Oh, they are. So, I'll tell you this. Don't want to get off track. Minecraft did. It's been a very long. It's probably been 4 years since I played Minecraft on a console. It was the Xbox One. From what I remember, the implementation was pretty solid. Was it as good as playing on a controller? No. Excuse me. Was it as good as playing on a keyboard and mouse? No. Was it a good experience? Yes. Again, because a little bit slower pace. You don't have to worry about other people like doing things crazy. I mean, you're just trying to hang out and play, casual Minecraft on the console. You can.
Yeah.
But it's a lot tougher on freaking DayZ. I mean, a military war.
And we saw the exact
same
thing with 7 Days to Die. I mean, it was just, I saw someone play 7 Days to Die on the console, and it looked so painful.
Oh God, I can only imagine.
because I mean they kept having to go through all these options. Like they'd hold something and then they'd have to go through a menu and just do all these things, and it was a nightmare. So, all right. Do we want to start this the first game giveaway?
First game giveaway. You're giving away multiple ones tonight?
Sorry, the game giveaway. No, only one today.
When did we used to do two? Did we used to do one at the beginning and then draw to the
We
middle?
do one at halfway and then one at the very end.
Oh, is that okay? That's what we used to. Yeah. Okay, I got you. So we'd announce at the beginning of the show.
No, we didn't. No, we'd announce one halfway, and then we'd also do one like right before the end.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. I don't remember.
All right, so this will be exclamation point giveaway in chat. This will be a 60 points, so 60 cans. If you've been in here for 1 hour, then we'll be able to enter for that. So make sure we start this up correctly. All right, shows up in chat. 60 points, exclamation point giveaway, and we're giving away a copy of Immortal Redneck. And this game is currently $20 on Steam. And so if you want to enter for this, it's got very positive ratings. Immortal Redneck, very positive ratings on Steam. And it is a FPS shooter type game. They don't have anything saying what it is, but it is a FPS set in Egypt and roguelite elements. Game mixes old school first person shooter action with a roguelite mechanic. And so it's got a nice story to it. If you're interested in that, make sure you enter before the end of the show.
Lance is, I just want to go back to this real quick. Lance is asking, can you bind leaning to controller roll axis? The problem is binding isn't always, I don't know if all games have binding. I know there is binding, you can, but I don't know if every game allows you to, honest to God, I don't even know if you can change your binds. I think you can. I don't remember though. On the Xbox One, it may be game specific. I honestly don't remember. I've never remapped keys on the console because again, like there's not really a whole hell of a lot to remap to.
Because they usually just give you basic functionality.
Well, but usually they have they'll for example, Call of Duty's got Southpaw, or they've got like a couple different modes,
like specialties.
Yeah, like.
Or are you talking about? Is it like presets?
Yes, couple presets: Southpaw, regular, melee versus knife being B or clicking down on the right D-pad. Those are some of the predefined options. That's Call of Duty, for example. I don't know about some of these other games, though. I will check, though. When I play it, I will check about remapping and rebinding, because I know that's big for a lot of people.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Aldridge, we've done a very piss poor job at getting through these notes.
All right, let's go. Let's talk a little bit about Apex.
Okay.
Because Apex, people have been doing data mining and just trying to dig into everything.
Oh, the old H1Z1 approach.
Yes. So right now they said, they had more than 50 million active players over a month on its debut. People have been, because of the interest in it, been trying to find all this information through data mining, and they claim to have found references to a flamethrower, a remote turret, NPC characters, also things about the battle pass. So they're looking at doing a battle pass.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I couldn't imagine.
Now, first, actually, I'm gonna give this statement because they actually gave a statement regarding all this information coming out by data mining. So they've responded to this. What they said is, so between the data mining and the unintentional update about Season 1 on Origin today, so they accidentally released, there's been a lot of speculation and confusion, so we wanted to give some clarity. We'll be providing details on Season 1, Battle Pass, and the next Legend very soon. It's not coming out today. There's a lot of stuff that's been data mined from Apex since launch and is swirling around the internet. We know this stuff is fun to dig up and speculate about, but you should not treat any of that info as a source of truth. There's stuff in there that's very old or things we've tried in the past and cut. Remember, our design process is to prototype and play lots of ideas, and some of it may be things we're still building for Apex Legends. Finding this stuff by no means confirms that it'll ever come out. So at best, you should treat any posts about this as rumor, and the real info will be coming from us when we're ready to show off what's coming next. So that's what they're saying about this. Now, we know from H1Z1, there were things in there from previous games. So some of these things that are coming out could be NPC information from Titanfall 1 and 2. I mean, there seems like there is some code from those in this. Titanfall had a lot of NPC enemies and different things. So some information they could be pulling could be leftovers from that. As they said also in this post, there's a lot of things that they put in, saw if it was good, saw if it worked, decided not to use it. It's hard to clean out. Once you put things into code, it's hard to go through and say, I'm going to remove. You can't just say, oh, I want to roll back that one piece very easily. So there's a good chance a lot of stuff gets left over in here.
Okay.
If they play tested a lot of things.
Agreed. How in 2019, where data mining game updates is beyond common practice, there are tools out there, like people have made programs that is like, put game files here. We will go through code for you and look at them. And it's like, I mean, this is not like some crazy hacker man GIF thing to data mine these games. This is very common practice, and Reddit exists. They fully embrace Reddit and social media. Part of me believes that this is all very strategic, and now they're releasing, this is crazy. How'd you guys find out? It's not releasing today. I call BS. This is clearly, this is clearly them just testing the water with things, seeing the reaction on Reddit and Twitter, because they know damn well this stuff gets out. This is very smart. They're not stupid. They aren't putting Battle Pass in code and then being like, oh crap, we accidentally pushed the code that had all of the Battle Pass information in it. This is testing the waters, which is good. Because when they see Reddit goes, damn this feature, well, I'm done playing the game, they'll go, oh no, that was an accident.
That was just a prototype. That was just
accident.
We were testing it.
Exactly.
We found that it wasn't as fun as what we
Bingo.
wanted.
So don't be fooled by this whole things are being left over by code and all this other nonsense.
Well, and how big, let's see, how big is Apex? I don't remember how big the actual install is.
I don't have Origin open. I can't tell you.
If you turn around and you take a look at, for instance, Arc is
200 gigabytes.
100 and what gigabytes?
Probably
it's coming up on 200 gigabytes. They have not done a good job, from what I can tell, of cleaning up after themselves. Apex, I have a feeling that they're not leaving a ton of like what we saw with Arc, and we saw with H1Z1, to where there was just tons of assets in there left over because they didn't take the time to sort through and say, oh, we're not using this, we're not using this, to actually, because when you package a game, and it's the same way in Unreal, when you package a game, it puts all the stuff in there. So when you're sitting there prototyping and coming up with all these ideas, you're throwing a bunch of stuff in there. Well, all that stuff stays in there, and when you ship the game, you may have a 50 gigabyte game that's really only about 2 gigabytes big, could be 10 gigabytes big, but you could have that much fluff and extra stuff that's sitting in that package. So I would assume that they're EA probably, I mean, you could have an intern go through and clean up some stuff, but normally you'd want to go through and we're not using this. I have a feeling that they know more of what's in there, and that they're a little more organized than H1Z1 was.
21 gigabytes according to Nisco, which is relatively small in the scheme of things.
For the amount of things that they have, yeah. So, but if you compare that to Arc's to almost 200 gigabytes, that shows you what happens when you haven't gone through and you don't clean up and keep things orderly in your files. You can easily get up to that point.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, data mining in Arc doesn't seem like that big of a deal because they have the mod kits and you can go see everything that's in there anyways. But I think you would go find that they just have a lot of huge textures and everything else. Here, that they have just code and stuff that they could easily throw something in, as you said, see how it tests out, because they know that it's going to get leaked within that week. I mean, it's an excellent way, as you said, to play test.
Within the day. I mean, the second that patch hits, these people are jumping into the files the second that it hits the Origin downloader. I do want to make a quick note. Our friend Firebomb is saying he's been kind of a good representation for us of, he's kind of he plays what his kids are playing. He's got I think he's got teenage children. And he says his kids have moved over to Apex from Fortnite. So he says, thank God, goodbye Fortnite, over to Apex. So that's interesting to see that shift has happened with whatever age group of his kids are. He says that Apex is more fun. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's an interesting change. I'm sure they'll come.
There's a lot more variety. Yeah, there's a lot more variety right now to Apex is what feels like variety. But for younger kids, that can be complicated. I think that Fortnite has the difficulty level of the building, but there's not a ton of things to remember. Like there's key mappings to remember, but there's not a ton of things happening in Fortnite that you have to remember. Okay, what's this character do, and what's this? You don't remember that. You have to learn to be good at doing certain repetitive motions.
I think that's harder than remembering how characters
it's harder,
perform.
But I'm saying for young kids.
I would say that building in Fortnite and whatnot is probably harder than playing a game like Overwatch. I mean, Overwatch
I think so, definitely.
I think so, too. I mean, I'm actually pretty damn good at Overwatch. I can't build worth a damn in Fortnite. Now, I haven't put this much time in, but...
See, the thing is, I have to get a new mouse. I just feel like I'd have to get a new mouse because I can't bind all those key bindings.
Get a controller.
That Fortnite has.
Play the controller.
Yeah, I could. But the thing is, yeah, I could.
I
just have no interest.
Old man Aldridge with using his USB Xbox 360 controller to play Fortnite on a PC. He's hip. Playing with all the kids.
Yeah. Well, if I was going to do that, I'd just install it on my console.
Yeah, and be done with it. I know, jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So what else we got?
All right. Well, one more thing I wanted to discuss a little bit because I brought this up before. So Everquest, PC Gamer asked, how is classic MMO Everquest still alive after 2 decades? And they have a pretty long article if you're interested in these kind of things. They have an article talking about the player base and how they've managed to keep people because of the communities that they bring up. And I'm not going to go detail through detail of this article, but for some of our player base, I think, or listener base, it might be interesting to kind of go through this because they talk about how the community has kept that game alive. Because if you look at the graphics, they're 19 years old, but they still have a decent number of people playing it because of the communities that they've built up and how much it requires you. For instance, if you die, it's permanent loss on your stuff. If you die, your body is sitting out there somewhere with all the stuff, and you spawn back halfway across the map. It could take you a day and a half to get back there just to get your stuff back. And so these groups of people that's part of the reason to join a guild is because you'll work together and they'll escort you. And like, it's a big camaraderie thing of you going and getting your stuff back. So I think that that's part of that mentality is what's kept them alive. And why are people still playing it? It's purely the community. So if you're interested in reading about that, and they actually have a lot of quotes from developers and these different companies talking about it. So I'll have the link to that in the show notes. You can check it out. So because it turns 20, it's turning 20 this week.
There you go.
So I played it 19 years ago.
That makes you very old. I'm not that. I'm only a couple years older than 19.
Thank you for that info.
I'm just saying. Well, since we've been talking about games that are not any relation to what we talk about on this show, let's keep the train rolling. This is just kind of general gaming news. It's about time that Microsoft is releasing the Halo Master Chief Collection. And now you'd say, okay, and this is actually kind of relevant to our conversations we've had. Brian, you've been very critical of Microsoft with their Windows Store bullshit that they try pulling with. Buy the game on the Windows Store, get it on the Xbox One, and yada, yada, yada. Nobody wants to play games on the Windows Store. But they are releasing the Master Chief Collection on Steam, which I think is a very interesting take and look into what these companies legitimately fear the backlash from some of these launchers. Maybe we've been wrong about this stuff. I mean, because clearly they feared it enough that they said, and because they knew damn well people weren't going to buy. I would not have purchased this on the Microsoft.
On the Windows Store. That's
not true. I'm such a Halo fanboy. I probably would have, but I would have had to been persuaded by our good friend Musty. Very hard. It would have had to bribe me a lot to buy it on the Windows Store. I will absolutely purchase this on Steam, even if I never play it, because it's just so much more convenient. I got my credit card on Steam. I've already got my whole. It's just a lot easier to purchase on Steam. But But more than anything else,
Well, and they release. I mean, the thing is Microsoft releases a lot of games on Steam.
they do.
Their Age of Empires, Fable series. They've got State of Decay. All their Halo stuff has been released on Steam.
But here's my point. This would be a great, like we saw. We're seeing. God, what's the exclusive game? No, what's the exclusive game that we were just talking about with the Epic Store, a couple weeks ago?
Oh, Metro Exodus?
No, not Metro. I don't disregard what I was talking about. Nevertheless, this would have been a good opportunity for Microsoft to boost the activity of their own launcher, because the Halo fanboys and girls would have no choice. If you want to play the Master Chief Collection on PC, open up the Windows Store. I've purchased stuff on the Windows Store, so I already have an account. But that would have been a good way to boost their whatchamacallit, their player count. And for some reason, I guess they determined that
maybe they saw the numbers
it.
with what's the name of the pirate game that
Sea of Thieves?
Sea of Thieves?
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves. I mean, there's people playing it, right? But do you think that they've seen from the numbers that they probably have more people playing if they were on Steam or they were on something other than the Windows Store? I mean, people are playing that game. One thing I've talked about, Satisfactory, that's one that's coming out here. I think is exclusive initially on the Epic launcher. Division 2 isn't exclusive, I don't think.
But I'll tell you what, Brian. Halo is one of the most well-known, iconic gaming franchises. You may be able to make the argument that it is the top.
Yeah.
And so that's why this isn't Sea of Thieves. This isn't, not that Sea of Thieves is a third-rate game. I mean, it kind of is. But this is like Call of Duty using the Battle.net launcher to release this game. They know the Call of Duty fanboys are going to have to use Battle.net to buy it. I'm saying Microsoft could have absolutely demanded that with this game, and either from a PR perspective or just the fact of a sales perspective, or maybe the fact that they just actually care what people are saying. Maybe they actually read the comments that people are done with all the other, maybe people don't want to use all these different launchers. But interesting take to release this. It's on the Windows Store as well, but it's also on Steam. So I'm looking forward to it on Steam. No date, but it is on Steam. It is the Halo Master Chief Collection. It will include Halo Reach, and unlike the console version, which I own, they released all of the Master Chief Collection is a whole bunch of the old games with the multiplayers and whatnot. They released them all at the same time. Servers went to hell in a handbasket. So what they're doing on this is they're going to do a tiered release of the games individually. They're going to release they're going to release games staggered, so that the servers don't crash. But this is a very interesting
67 take. Campaign missions and 120 multiplayer maps. Is that what that sound right?
Something like that. Yeah, it's everything.
That's crazy.
Now, PH is saying, I think the amount of shit Epic is getting and other companies now look like the good guys for not making exclusive. PR 101. I mean, that may be it. That is a very real possibility. But all I'm saying is they could have demanded it. This is is one of the franchises and one of the games that you could demand on. You can't demand it on Sea of Thieves, because people are like, just screw it. I'm not going to play your game. I don't care. I'll go play Black Wake or Atlas, which was supposed to be a pirate game. You can't. What are you going to do? What are you going to not? You're going to not play Halo is what you're going to do. And PH saying that Apex worked out for Origin. I agreed. So it's interesting. We'll see. But Halo Master Chief Collection, hooray! Hip hip hooray! 5 years we've been waiting. I think.
How much will you play it?
I will be playing Halo 3 custom games all the time.
Okay. We'll see in a month after it releases.
Well, it depends. See, here's the thing with I don't want to get into it. We got other news we want to get into. Halo 3 custom games. Hit me up, Musty. I'm talking to you. We've already talked. We've already talked privately. We're gonna play. Let's
show a couple videos here really quick. So first of all, there's just the trailer for Conan. The 2019 trailer came out.
Yeah, you want to play that?
So go ahead and play that really quick. I mean, there's there may be some things you notice in there. We haven't played this for a while. They put out another. This is what they love to do. They put out updates, and they're like, "Hey, look at all the cool stuff we have." So you'll probably notice some things in this trailer that you're like, "Oh, I didn't know that was in there."
You know what I liked about that trailer, Brian?
Hmm.
The fact that they showed now. Arc does this, used to do this, and Atlas did the same garbage. They have their designers build a structure, a city, a village, or whatever. They have their designers build it, and they show it in the trailers. Whoa, look at all this crazy cool stuff you can build. Conan, on the other hand, literally shows video from servers that exist. What people are actually doing with the game. I don't understand why Arc and Atlas and all these other games don't do this. I don't care what your freaking developers build. They're the one building the damn game. What is the actual community doing?
Well,
and they show
we
3 different servers in here. Name the servers.
We always run into the issue of with Atlas. We saw this where it's like I've never seen that, or you can't. They say, "Oh, this is in-game footage," is what they love to say. You show me how you can recreate that scene that they show in some of these videos of Atlas as in-game footage. All the stuff that you just saw in this Conan one, as you said, is all stuff that's in the game. It shows
like
here's
right
how
here.
you build.
Here, let me pull my lower third off the screen here. I mean, it says build by Catabrina. So that's a player-made structure.
Player-made structure
may contain mods. And then there's another one after this built by, this is another one, Prozac.
But that's the selling point. Even if it contains mods, they're offering for free on the marketplace.
Here's one built by a community server. I mean, here's an unbroken RP PvP server. These are legitimate things in game.
Yep.
Like, damn it, developers, you're missing out. You've got these great communities that are doing all this work for you. All you've got to do is say, "Hey guys, can we come in the game?"
Into a community game. That's what's gonna, and that's why I was hinting at it with Everquest. Was going to keep that game alive. Was going to keep all these games alive. Is that they can build up a community. The thing is Arc, Atlas, they've cultivated a player base that their whole goal is to troll each other. I mean, if you look at the whole base mechanic of the game, it's pretty much about destroying and trolling other players, kind of like what Rust has done. If you look at Conan, that's not really what it's about.
No.
Like they have the mechanics in there where you could attack other people's bases, but you know what? It seems like Conan has a much healthier player base that wants to just build and just do cool stuff.
Dude, I love playing Conan.
That's what ends up happening.
When we've played Conan, like we all start off and like everybody starts off separate. Then one guy builds something cool and everybody hopes over there. Then everybody starts getting on each other's nerves. Like, God, you're stealing my stuff. And then factions break out and it's a whole damn mess. But damn, dude, games like Conan are so much fun. But it's the same thing with 7 Days to Die. They're fun not every year and 8 months, but every 6.
There's a certain
9
type of
months.
Person that can sit there and play the same game every day. You know
can.
what? But you and I are not that kind of a player.
And I don't think most of our community is either. I mean, I look at our Discord. It's cool that Discord shows you what people are playing. Most of our community is playing a whole bunch of different games at a time. There's very few people. There is a couple that are always playing in the same game, but most people kind of float to whatever the hot thing is. And that's kind of how you and I play, if we play anything at all.
Yep.
So cool stuff.
So anyway,
I really like those.
Yeah.
Those guys
So
over there.
I thought that was interesting. They showed one where someone was actually riding a rock down like a snowy cliff. I hadn't seen that. I was kind of curious. Like, that must be some new mechanic, but like in the snow region, someone who was like snowboarding on a rock. So, also there was a big Fortnite update. There's a video for that showing off one of the new items. So I don't know if you want to play that video first, because that is a lot of what's in here.
Yeah, let me
and then
get to this. I forgot there was a video here.
no worries.
All right, what is this? This is called the Baller.
The Baller. So go and play that, and then we'll explain what it is.
That reminds me a lot of the new Overwatch hamster thing, which does something very similar. That was my first impression.
Yeah, where it can attach to things and kind of
have you been watching
it around.
Have you been watching Overwatch League at all? The competitive league? Oh, okay.
No.
Okay, I'm curious. If anybody else has been watching it, let me know. I'm curious on what your thoughts are on it. This is a good, we need to do an extra podcast. This is a good extra podcast topic.
Overwatch League.
Yeah, it's interesting. So what's in this update here?
So on this, the Baller, as they say, keep the good times rolling. So this has a boost and a grapple, which lets you, as you saw in there, they were flying all around doing kind of crazy things. They had a special thing that looks like a pinball machine that you can play around in.
Plinko, yeah.
Yeah. And then they have the vending machines. So these convenient machines now dispense things free of charge, but only provide one item or weapon before disappearing. So those are kind of spread throughout. The Baller is a single seat. So it's found at expedition outposts around the pirate camp loot stashes. So use the attach grappler and boost functionality. You can pull yourself up cliffs or swing through trees. The driver is protected from damage, but the Baller is vulnerable to enemy weapon fire. It has 300 health.
It's a lot.
The infantry rifle, they remove the common rarity. The heavy assault rifle, they adjusted rarity from rare, epic, legendary to common, uncommon, and rare. The base damage scaling for common, uncommon, and rare is 36, 38, and 40. They reduced the stack size of the clingers. Of course, the vending machines, they removed the material cost. So each vending machine will be, it says they removed from the vending machines the turrets and the legendary vending vending machine. So you can't get the mounted turrets anymore. Then they did some bug fixes and some adjustments to the gameplay, but those are things that they showed. They're doing a time limited mode right now where players have to race to find jewels and take it to a getaway van before everyone else to win the match. So that's a limited time mode that they're doing right now. It's called Getaway.
Interesting. That's a neat mechanic.
Yeah, they just got to mix it up and see what they still haven't released. They don't have a playlist, do they? Really, of having?
I don't think so. Now,
you would think at some point they're going to do that, and create something to where there's just kind of that variety to keep people from doing the repetitive thing over and over again. So
there is something special about keeping those modes super limited, right? There is something about when they're available. If they're available all the time, Brian, they lose their lust. And if you just randomly throw these in every once in a while, there's something.
Well, at least they're running this one for a little longer, because this is what the issue that I had is when they only run it for 2 days.
Yeah, like freaking PUBG.
Or they'll do it. Oh, on Saturday we're doing this limited one-time thing. Well, but you posted the notice on Friday. I didn't see it, and now, okay, by the time I see the notice, it's not going anymore.
Yeah, now it's Tuesday.
Yeah, so at least run it long enough to where you have time to see it, to play it, see how it is, and not just have it be a one-time thing that's super, super short. So
yeah. All
right. Do you have a preference on what we talk about next?
No, sir. Wherever you want to.
All right, so let's talk a little bit. I want to talk about a game that I kickstarted called Saurian. Saurian. So their estimated delivery in this game was January of 2017.
What is it? What is a survival game? What is this?
So this is a dinosaur survival game.
Okay.
So you actually play as a dinosaur, and you do the whole life cycle of a dinosaur.
Oh, I
So you
remember you
start out
talking
as a
about this.
baby
Yeah.
years ago. So you start out as a baby, and you have to live and survive. You hunt and do all those things. Seemed like a really interesting concept. And so I kickstarted it. I don't remember exactly when I Kickstarter quit showing you dates, probably because people rage.
Wait, they don't show you that you funded stuff anymore?
No, they just show you the estimated
Oh
delivery
my
date.
God. There's got to be a way that they show you in your
I mean,
transaction
I'd have to track
history.
it down.
Yeah.
But I went and looked at the
Damn.
page for Kickstarted things itself. They took all dates off of there of when
Really?
it funded and things like that. And then I went and looked. So I went into my orders and I went and looked in there, and they took all of the dates of purchases and transactions off of there.
Damn.
They just list to you, probably because people get frustrated and mad, and they're trying to take away those trigger points. So on there, I went in and I got a dev blog thing. They're still working on it. I've played it one time a little bit because they put out, their alpha. And so they put out a thing talking about some of the dinosaurs. I don't know if you want to pull up that initial page. You can play and just kind of see these guys are going off of an ultra realistic feel. These guys are nerds, so they want to have it actually be realistic to how dinosaurs were. So if you're going to see a T-Rex, it's going to have feathers, things like that. So they've got some animations. You can see they're doing a pretty good job, but they're taking their time.
Dude, the animations look solid.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they even have one of those, not an ostrich, but the other one, the emu.
Yeah.
They have one of those that they're modeling. They're using it to be able to match how the movements would be.
That's pretty legit.
So these guys are still making it, and they've been greenlit or early access, whatever they're doing on Steam nowadays.
Yeah,
because they remember how they changed it.
Yeah, I don't think you can greenlight anymore.
Whatever they did for the early access on Steam, they are on that now. So I'm still hopeful. So this is an example of one of those. Now they did release their early alpha on August 2nd of 2017. I mean, I don't know if you consider that means that they kind of came close to their date of estimated January. The thing is, there still is not really a playable copy. Maybe now with this latest update, it's much more playable, but it's been years past the promise. I think this is kind of what is some of the reasoning that Kickstarter's just been struggling. I still have hope, and I understand the developers, it's much harder to make a game than they expected. But, this is 3 years past due. Or I kickstarted it 3 years ago, and I'm still waiting for a game. I just wanted to bring it up as an example. I mean, people may be interested in it, but if you do, just keep in mind maybe 2 more years before we see an actual playable version of it.
I do want to thank Vertigo Bomber 1 for coming in with the subscription here on Twitch. Thank you for that. Brian, I don't even have anything to say to you about that. I mean, we've been over this time and time again. I'm sure people don't.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because it was one that
I don't know what to say to you. Like, I just don't know what to say. It's like, it's disappointing. It's sad. It's not. I don't know if it's sad. I guess it is sad. I mean, it's the whole situation just blows. The developers.
But at least these guys didn't give up. The reason that I'm not mad at them, they're still doing it. So many of those games on Kickstarter said, "This is hard. Oh, we missed our date. We canceled." Even though they kept your funds, but they quit development. And so there's so many games that never actually made it anywhere in your hands. At least these guys are still making a game, and they're putting time into it.
Okay, so let's say the game comes out a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
But do you care?
I'm kind of past it now.
That's my point. Is you're not even going to play it. Like, so
the thing is, I was kind of stoked because of Ark and all that, and just kind of dinosaurs. It'd be interesting to do a different, because we were into Ark a whole bunch. Be interesting to do a different twist on that. But now, I'm past it, right?
That's kind of my point. Is it's like, so would it have been better for them to cancel it? Like, I don't want to disparage them, but they're putting in all this time and all this effort, and the game is 2 years past delivery at this point.
I think for them, it's more of a passion project at this point.
I mean, I guess
because these guys are super nerds about dinosaurs themselves, so this will have a very niche community of people playing it.
I don't. It sucks for you as the consumer because you've paid for a game, and even if the game comes out, you really have no interest in playing it. And then it sucks for the developer because they're putting their time into this game, and in all likelihood, now there's, every once in a while something is surprising and it breaks out of the trend, but this game will quote unquote come out and it will probably have no player base, just based on what I've seen here. So it's kind of both sides are equally getting screwed. There's no winner.
Yep.
I don't think. I mean, maybe the developers are the winner, they got your money, but I mean, if nobody plays your game, and you put all this stuff, you put years and years worth of time into it for nobody to play it, that sucks.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the downside. That's the thing about Kickstarters. When it's all out there, I think a much better model is not being involved in the process from start to finish. You can join the process halfway through. I mean, that seems like it makes more sense because most of these games give up halfway through.
Yeah. And
so if you join and they actually have to pitch it to you halfway through, I think you'd see a lot more of those games actually be delivered.
Rats and Nisco and Chat are both bringing up Dead Matter as well. What was that? Last week we talked about the big Dead Matter delay. I mean,
another delay. Yeah.
It's just, who knows?
Well, and the things like that, same thing. Where are people going to be interested in a zombie survival game?
Here's the thing, Brian. I mean, it's like in Chicago on St. Patrick's Day, right? They pour, or Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, they pour all that green dye into the river there, and the whole river turns green. That's how it works. You pour a little bit in one area, and then the whole river turns green. It's like all of these delays and whatnot, even though they don't affect me necessarily, it just gives me such an awful taste about video games in general. I just am so bummed out when I hear stuff like this. The Dead Matter news last week was like, Jesus, like this blows. Now I'm hearing this from you. It's like, God, I don't want to play anything.
Yeah,
it's just it puts me in such a
makes you not want to be
mood.
Involved in the process.
Well, just not want to be involved in anything. It's just like I don't even.
Well, and that's one thing is if you look at Zero though, like he's not sitting there pushing to be. He's not pushing. Hey, he's doing open demos so people can come and see how it's going. He's not saying buy into you can, but you don't have to buy into the alphas. He's like, play it, help develop it. But a lot of these, like they have nothing, you have nothing to even see the day that you kickstart it. Like some of them, all they've done is concept art at that point.
Yeah.
For a lot of them, most of them.
Rats Toss Bag says, I'm patient though. Someone has to get a survival game right one day, right? I don't know. We're going on 5 years. we've been waiting for somebody to do it. I mean, who knows? We're just patiently waiting. We're doing the same. Brian, that'll be the end of this show. I've just said it. The end of this program will be when a company finally releases a good survival game. We talk about it, we play it, we enjoy it, and then it's done. That will be, Brian, would you agree? That will be the end of this program?
Who knows? Maybe we'll start up the survival podcast for a specific game at that point. Is that...
No, I'm just saying, like, maybe that's it. Like, if somebody will do it right, we'll talk about it, we'll love it. It'll be like Ark. We'll have a great grand old time for a while. It'll be great.
And then we'll never talk about it again.
And then we do talk about it, but I'm saying then maybe that'll be it. Once somebody does it right, you can. Then maybe that's it.
Okay. Nick's always looking for the out.
I'm not looking for the out. I'm not looking for the out. And Saul's saying the cold death from the sun will come sooner than the right company.
Well, you just guaranteed us a lifetime commitment to this podcast.
Yeah. Brian will be collecting Social Security and then we'll still be doing the show. Hey, you remember back in 2019 when that damn dinosaur game didn't come out or Dead Matter delayed? Yeah. That'll be the day. All right.
So
where to?
All right. Let's talk about Rust a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Rust is the game that just keeps existing, and I still don't find a desire to really play it. But they do have a video here. Let's play the video, and then we can discuss a little bit. But I think the video pretty well lines up to the notes, and he always does a better job than we could.
Let me get this queued up. My download was corrupted, so I'm re-downloading this video.
Okay.
If you can give me like
this one is called the Oil Rig update.
Now,
So.
I do want to challenge you on something. You just said that Rust is a game that exists. Rust has a very solid player base, Brian.
I would say they keep existing. Like they don't drastically change Rust. They add things here and there to Rust, but Rust has played the same.
There are damn near
for how long?
40,000 people playing that game right now. It's pretty wild. It's been out since.
But the thing is do you ever see people saying, "I'm coming back to Rust because they added the docks, because they added this or that"? Like all these things that they add just kind of are side things.
Yeah.
The people who play Rust don't even really seem to care that they added them. It's just extra stuff in their world that they're going to keep PvPing naked.
It's been out since 2013.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is going to work. Here's a Rust video, possibly, I think. Here we go.
Let's try it.
There we go.
Hello there. Greetings, survivors and friends. Shadowfrax here with your weekly Rust update, and well, oil be. It looks like the rigs are finally here. There was a slight delay to the patch last night thanks to Steam being an idiot, and a hotfix in the wee hours to fix a couple of issues, but they should now be a permanent feature of most servers and working as slick as intended. The delay in adding these things was partly due to making them more than just a passive monument, like a sperm kit for sailors or something, and this is how they work. Because people have been known to get a little bit protective over oil, you'll find about 20 of the Blue Man group here ready to meet you, and you'll need to suppress them before you can explore properly. There are a few crates stashed away behind keycard doors here, but the main prize is a locked one that will spawn at the top. Hacking this will initiate a new event, which will land you in some pretty deep water. The Chinook will appear on the horizon, touch down on the helipad briefly, and 5 thick scientists will barrel out to say hello with M249s. Once you've survived this, which should be a walk in the park for you, especially if you're a hardened solo player, you can loot them for some decent gear whilst you wait the rest of the 14 minutes for the hacking to complete. Just a couple of notes to make here. The normal Chinook event still takes place on land, and you'll only meet the extra thick scientists here for now, and you may remember that there were actually 2 oil rig models in development. Well, we only have the small one in this patch, and the other will follow later because the AI had to be substantially reworked to make it happen. As Helk says in the dev blog, he's taken on the task of rewriting Rust's artificial unintelligence, as it hasn't exactly been the high point of the game so far, especially with animals. And you can expect plenty of changes in this area, hopefully, as these systems are rejigged. The scientists at the oil rig behave a bit differently to those on land as a result, and although it isn't perfect yet, eventually it will be rolled out to include the rest of the boys in blue, green, and fur. The other biggest change this patch still concerns the ocean, with everything now being better down where it's wetter. Hopefully. A brand new water system has splashdown, which brings with it not just better performance, but waves and foam, and it affects physics of all floating bodies. Junk piles bob around majestically in the surf, and boating has become a bit more challenging, /fun, /vomit inducing, delete as applicable as a result. You'll notice that just like in real life, the water is less turbulent closer to the shore, but unlike real life, the waves currently move only in one direction globally. I do believe that this is something that will change though, and eventually they will head towards the shore from every direction. Additionally, a lot of issues with flickering at the shore were fixed, especially with TSSAA enabled, which is nice. Performance! It's important. We all know this, and so you'll be ecstatic to know there were some decent improvements in this patch. A new light culling system was developed, partly due to how the new oil rig set up like the lighting section at an IKEA, but also because any area with a lot of light sources can negatively impact your potatoes. Basically, now if you can't directly see a light, it won't be rendered, and this not only makes everything run better, but allows for more atmospheric setups in the future. As mentioned previously, with this patch, instead of OpenGL, Linux now uses Vulkan and Mac uses Metal. This should now help the enormous number of players using these platforms. Just make sure that if you're using Linux to install the absolute latest graphics drivers, and ensure you're no longer using Force OpenGL in your startup parameter, as that will cock everything up. As an aside, if you want, you can use Vulkan with Windows too by adding Force Vulkan, although most graphics drivers have issues with it, so it's not recommended. Last month, as you may remember, a new system for creating and destroying entities around you was introduced to reduce frame rate drops whilst trundling around the world. Whilst this did improve things a lot, it introduced an issue where some entities would stream in very delayed. To fix this, entities are now ordered by distance to player, so the closest ones will stream in first. Asset loading performance was significantly improved this patch, which means if you have an SSD, the game now loads 10% faster, and possibly quite a bit better on hard drive. Thanks to the latest version of Unity being more strong and stable, not only were there a few more small optimizations made, but we now witness the return of the world reflection setting, which was disabled a while back as it was causing some random crashes. It is a purely cosmetic thing, but can make a big difference to how interior spaces look particularly. Setting it to 0 will cause objects only to reflect the sky, 1 will reflect sky and terrain, and 2 will reflect pretty much everything. It does impact performance though, so if you're worried about that, then just make sure it's set low. As well as this, 115 megabytes of system and video memory was saved by reducing some textures. Flasher and siren lights now have passed through, turret parts are far less common in boxes, and a new build process for the staging branch was implemented, which works twice as fast and can be cancelled at any point, which means that the development cycle is a lot smoother and faster for the team. Over to works in progress, and we have some new development shots of the giant excavator monument, which as you can see is a proper beast and will be rather fun to explore, I'm sure. As well as the dump truck model, there'll also be a loader to complement it, although these are only props as far as I know, and according to the blog, this monument will appear in the desert. More info will be made available as it progresses, so stay tuned and I'll pass it on when I have it. And finally, a new item is in development straight from
Concept Limbo.
A grenade launcher, although it doesn't look like it'll launch bean cans, sadly, or anything apart from approved projectiles. Looks like it'll fire 6 rounds, but what type they'll be and how exactly we'll get our hands on it remains to be seen. We literally only have visuals at the moment, but hopefully we'll see it in action at some point in the near future. Thank you, chaps. Please suggestively nudge the like and subscribe buttons, ring the bell like you mean it, and join me over on Twitch for live sessions thrice a week. You can catch up with me on Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and my Steam group, plus help me keep the stable lights on via Patreon. I shall catch you all very soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio!
All right, as always, thanks Shadowfrax for his update. Go check out his YouTube and Patreon and all that other good stuff that he talks about there on his videos. Thank him for that update. Do you want to cover anything from the notes there, or do you think that video sums up pretty much all that was?
No, I just wanted to mention, like, PH beat me to it, but the animations, man, they just drive me crazy. This AI,
oh yeah,
the legs
walking. Oh, I am going to patrol downstairs. Dun 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 dun. Full
the thing
arms
is,
of it.
and then also, like, when he's walking downstairs, it's like they don't have, so inverse kinetics is when normally what you see in video games where the leg will actually set properly on a step.
Yeah.
And so because in most animations it doesn't do that. Sorry, I'm gonna cough. And so this game obviously does not have that. And so when they go down the stairs, it's a ramp.
It's a
Even
ramp
though it
with a
looks like
model
stairs
over
to
it.
you.
Yeah.
It's a ramp, so you can see that they're doing really weird motions as they walk downstairs.
Hey, you know what? When you've got 40,000 people playing and they don't care what the they don't care.
That's the thing. That's what I was saying. Is like I feel like the players just do not care. Like all these things they put in here, like look at this.
Brian, but here's the
this
thing, Brian.
excavation site looks awesome. They don't care. The players just don't seem to care.
No. I'll disagree with you on that. But I will say, in terms of the animations and whatnot, clearly the players don't care because that's not the point of the game.
Yeah.
That's not the point.
Well, like the ocean thing, that looks good.
Yeah.
They did do a lot of performance. I still feel like the player base that's playing this isn't like, oh, this is immersive. Like for me, I'd be like, oh, this looks so much better. I think they have a player base that just doesn't really care. Like they keep making all these cool things and putting it in here. I just have never gotten the impression that a Rust player actually cares.
I don't know.
So,
well, I don't know any Rust players, people that actually play it. We need to find a Rust. If you know,
I've never seen. I mean, we've run into people that do. But the thing is, I've never had one of them say, "Hey, have you seen that new monument? Oh, so cool! It looks so good." Never have they ever said anything about how the game actually looks.
If you're listening to this program and you know somebody that's a legit hardcore Rust player, please let us know. I'd love to talk that, because if I had to guess, the hardcore Rust player is only interested in building bases and raiding, because that's kind of what you do.
That's what I gather. It's like, why do they keep putting all this time and making really beautiful assets, but like I just feel like this player base could care less. I feel like they're just developing it because they want to develop it, and they're doing it the way they want, and the players just exist in the space.
That may be the case.
That's what I gather from this. So, all right, we're getting close on time, so let's talk.
We still got like 10 minutes or so.
Okay, so let's talk really quick. PUBG actually put out a notice. They haven't been putting out very many updates lately.
Yeah, what's up with that?
But I don't know. I mean, they did put out the snow map. So instead of putting a lot of updates, they did put out like a whole map.
Yeah, that was a while ago though.
But they haven't been putting out weekly updates or anything like that. But they're doing a player care package. So they're using that as a way to distribute rewards for completing missions and logging in during special events. So they're testing the functionality. So they're calling it the player care package test. So they're scheduled for the 14th and the 15th. So this is one where actually they gave us enough notice beforehand. You can actually participate in this. And so the 14th and the 15th from 3 a.m. Pacific to 3 a.m. Pacific.
So 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Eastern. Which is what's Eastern. The 14th? That's a freaking Thursday. So they want you to test it on. They want you to test
Friday,
it between. No, it ends.
Or it's all Thursday day.
It's all Thursday day. So they want you to test on Thursday. If I'm reading, yeah, it ends March 15th at 3 a.m. So so you need to test on Thursday.
So if you log in, just get into the lobby, and then you'll see a little care package button next to the settings button on the upper right. You can click that. And the rewards are, there's a leather hoodie. There is a turquoise delight, which is a weapon skin. And then the Bengal tiger, which is a parachute skin.
That parachute skin doesn't even, I mean, I now what they say what it is, you can tell what it is, but if you just look at that, it kind of just looks like a camo.
It doesn't look like a Bengal tiger.
No, but when you say it is, it is, but by looking, it just looks like some type of orange camo. That's pretty cool looking. I like that.
So those will be the rewards. So that's what you can look forward to. So that'll be for that Thursday. So pretty much Thursday, log in, click the button, and then that is their test.
I know. Do I have the game?
I don't know
installed?
do they really need to? I don't understand how this is a big test.
Well, they're testing.
Are they not sure of that functionality?
Well, they're probably checking about redeeming and people getting stuck, multiple claims.
Can't they just look at their mobile client? I mean, their mobile client is all about this. You're constantly doing this stuff on them.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what, Brian? Here's the thing. You can't criticize them for wanting to test things.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that they test.
We've seen so many
weird that they're making such a big deal of it.
Yeah, maybe that's why they're doing it on a Thursday, because it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much it for PUBG. We haven't really talked too much about them since then. The Red Dead Online, there's actually a new game mode for that.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in playing Red Dead Online, they have been doing some improvements. Last week they had a number of fixes and updates they did, but they have a game mode called Spoils of War, and this is a limited time. For a limited amount of time, they have clothing in the catalog as well that's linked to this. But this is a 2 to 16 players compete in a team-based mode to defend their stockpile and raid each other. So it's kind of like a capture the flag type of a thing.
Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds
so you
like.
have to steal loot from their opponent space, return it to your own base. So you have to defend your stash and also go and try to. So will require some teamwork. So whichever team steals the most by the end of the match will win. So as an added benefit this week, you'll get 20% XP boost for all of the showdown modes, and winning one Spoils of War match will earn you an extra bonus of 8 times the dynamite arrows that you can retrieve from the post office. So they do have some rare clothing. So the Tasman outfit, which is a male only, the Danube outfit, which is female only, tied pants, hitched shirt, which is female only, winter shotgun coat, gardenia hat, and the squat stovepipes top hat. There we go. So those are the new skins and garments, things you can get in there. But this is still, they're considering this beta. So I don't know at what point this is no longer going to be beta. I mean, they're not going to re-roll it out, I'd assume, at this point. since they're doing all these limited time skins and everything.
Yeah.
It just seems like they should just say, all right, we're releasing.
Yeah.
Is that
Honest to God, I don't know why you do a limited time event on their failing multiplayer.
Beta.
Well, it's
So-
I mean, nobody's playing it, and you're going to do a limited time event like this is going to get me to boot up my PlayStation and play it? No, I don't care. Leave it in there, and then when I eventually get to it, I can play it. So
I launched in last week and I just ran around and I just was like, what?
what the hell am I going to do? You do.
Oh, yeah, what am I supposed to do?
We played it for a little while and it was like, this is just a crappier version of the single player.
Yep.
Except there's two
And
other people,
so-
and you get better rewards because you paid more, which is essentially what it was. You got better. I mean, that I was like, this isn't fun.
Yep.
No, it
And
wasn't
so
fun at
that-
all.
I went in there and I didn't want to do one of the missions where I just had to carry mail. That was pretty much all that there was around me. It's like, I don't want to carry mail. So
I don't want to be that guy, but I am going to be that guy. I was right about Red Dead Online. I said it was going to be a total flop, and it's a total flop for exactly the reasons I said. I'm not acting like I'm the only person that said that, but I mean, you could see this from a million miles away. This is going to be like GTA. It's not going to be like GTA. There's no planes. There's no cars. There's no strippers or hookers to kill on the side of the street. There's none of that stuff. All you do is have a freaking horse and you ride around and get shot at. That's it. Or trains. I mean, there's nothing going on.
I think they wanted to mimic GTA Online, but as you said, that wasn't possible.
There's no
I think they
depth.
would have had no, exactly. There's no depth. So I think what they would have had a much better. People would have complained initially. Here's the issue: people would have complained initially, but I think what they should have done is extended the single player version to be group.
Like
not have it
co-op.
be, have a co-op. Have that be part of it. Have co-op where you're in the world together and you're kind of doing things more in the style of the single player, and then also have where you can do some PvP modes that are loading in separately. Not trying to bring the PvP modes into the open world because that just doesn't work well. And constantly you're just running into people. They're shooting at you. Things start chasing you for no reason. The police start chasing you randomly because you bumped into somebody or your horse ran into somebody. It's just silly. So I don't know.
It's lame.
I just
Brian.
wish they would have done it differently.
It's just lame.
And then it would have been fun.
There's nothing to do.
Yeah, you need to finish the single player. So actually, I can't even talk about it on here because there's probably plenty of people who haven't.
I know. Honestly, God, I don't think it's ever gonna happen in my lifetime. It will.
I never did finish GTA. I need to finish it.
I played through the GTA campaign on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One. All right, Brian. Before we get out of here, I do want to give a quick shout out to. We're talking about old friends in the H1Z1 community. Our friends, you remember this name probably, H1Z1DB. You remember them? They've hooked us up many a times. They gave us the first high-res map of the Z2 map. We did a special live stream on that. They hooked us up big time in the past. Well, they've got a new website out, and it's called gamermaps.net, and they've got a whole bunch of game maps on here. Game maps for Apex, Fortnite, the PUBG map, a couple Arma maps. They've even got the Summoner's Rift map, and their goal with that is to kind of maybe plan out and plot out some different mechanics. All the PUBG maps, and then the H1Z1 map, and they're out there still doing their thing, still going strong all these years after H1Z1. So check them out. You can follow them on Twitter. It's gamer_maps, and then again their website is gamermaps.net. So yeah, check them out. If you're looking for a site for maps, especially with the new H1Z1, you got to figure out where the hell everything is. You can do that on here, and that's cool. They're a bunch of really nice guys over there. They've helped us out. They helped us out bigly in the past.
Bigly,
yeah, they did, like big time. So appreciate them. And
all right, so we just got two more things to cover.
Oh, okay.
One thing is ROE. So ROE, there was something kind of interesting that happened with it. First of all, they had their patch. So if now, for instance, with the game Gunplay, if a player shoots an opponent and the opponent dies to environmental damage right after being shot, the player instead of the environment will get the elimination. So they changed that. Players no longer exit the ADS state when taking a short fall. End game, after the natural disaster covers the final zone, the height of the evacuation helicopter will gradually decrease and reach the minimum height after a period of time. Adventurers can take advantage of this new mechanism to swiftly board the helicopter when the time is right. So rather than it being as much of a waiting game, because whoever's going to go for the ladder first is the one who dies, they actually have it to where the helicopter lowers down, or you can kind of just run into the helicopter much more quickly. So kind of adds to that. They have also added boosters to the gliders. So while on the ground, you can take off by pressing whatever your keybind is for that. Usually it's E, and then deploy the glider mid-air automatically. They added bike bells to the BMX. The grappling hook, when your character is hooked to a wall, you can now jump towards all directions by using your WASD keys with the jump key. Before, you can only jump forward. Auto drive function. They've added an auto drive function to this vehicles.
Interesting. I don't remember that. I don't think that's in any other game. Auto drive.
Well, it's in not in these type of games.
No, yeah.
I don't know of any other VR games that have this in there.
I don't know.
They added a number of challenges, so they actually added quite a bit of stuff to here. But what I'm really interested in is they put out a notice here today saying, it's been weeks since the temporary shutdown of solo and duo matchmaking on North America servers. So North America has not been able to queue up for solos and duos for weeks now. First, we want to express our apologies. They said that although this change was an emergency measure that we were forced to take and it is shown to be effective, I don't know why, but we failed to communicate and inform you guys about this change beforehand. Now, we understand that directly shutting down matchmaking modes is only a temporary solution to the issue. So therefore, we've decided to reopen solo matchmaking on NA for a limited time. So from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock every day, Pacific time, they're opening up solo matchmaking. I don't know what in the world.
This sounds like a government restriction more than anything else. Tencent is a Chinese company.
Yes, the only zone affected by this is North America.
This absolutely sounds like a political thing. There's no technical technical reason. Tell me what bug exists in solos and duos that you can only have it open for 2 hours a day.
For weeks, first of all, and it only affects one country.
Somebody needs to tweet this at Trump. He needs to tweet about this at Tencent and figure out what the root cause of it. This has got to be geopolitical. No, it's got to be. It's the only logical explanation.
Think so. It's just so weird to me. It made no sense. Obviously, it's not a bug, because if this were a problem, they could pull the EU code. They could pull the Asia code, whatever it is. Like, it's only North America that cannot play solos or duos.
But you can play solos for 2 hours.
For 2 hours.
And it doesn't start until freaking 10 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like, I've never heard of this happening before. So I wanted to bring it up because it was the weirdest thing I ever read. I was like, okay, obviously it's not you. I've heard companies say, you know what, this is really broken and we can't figure it out, so we're turning it off for now, or we haven't been able to fix it. It's not a bug because all other countries work just fine.
I'm reading through some of the comments here. A lot of people are saying that let's see. The people are saying that they lost their adventure pass time because they couldn't meet the requirements. People are saying that their season 2 progress is pretty much borked because they can't play solos. There's actually a change.org petition. Not sure what this is going to do. There are 31 signatures on it.
People really care.
Called I'll put a link in the show notes. Bring back NA solo duo for Ring of Well, this just came out today. So
okay. So there's hope.
I mean, there is hope. I'll put the link in the show notes if anybody would like to sign this. 100% political.
Yeah. I can't imagine what would allow you to still play the game, but you can only do 4, more than 2 players.
I'm no tech expert. I know a lot about technology, but I can't think of any possible technological restriction that could be doing this.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to bring that up. I mean, they have some good patch notes, but I read this and I was like, this has to go, because they have a lot of little patch notes that I don't post, like, oh, we fixed this one little bug.
Yeah.
But this one just caught my eye. So
a lot of people
might be interested in it.
A lot of people are saying that they're quitting. Even Ducky RB is saying this is why I quit ROE, because they got rid of the only 2 game modes I wanted to play. Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of strange. So you're more than welcome to check that out. I didn't go through and dig in the past whatever reason they gave. But obviously, they haven't given a clear reason because a lot of people are questioning it. So
yeah,
they just said for some reason, and they didn't give any notice beforehand. So
yeah, nobody in here is mentioning anything about political. People mentioning about server, data center issue, but again, that wouldn't cause a 2-hour no, and it wouldn't take 3 weeks to solve.
No.
When you've got the code deployed in all the other regions, all you have to do is change the physical. I guess you could play in EU, no?
You can.
The higher ping. So there you go. Just do that.
All right. So last game I want to talk about is SCUM.
All right.
So they've gone through and they've first of all done a patch 1.27.12125, and they've added some new points of interest. That's one thing that I think a big thing that they can do is just make the map more interesting and more things to discover. So they put in a coal mine, and they actually have right now the mines are empty, once you go underground, but they'll be putting things in there that you can go through and discover, probably loot. Also, they've added a new shotgun. The pickup variations. Now, remember we were saying the pickup looks awfully new.
Mm-hmm.
And
I gotta go back. I'll look at that in a second. Let me finish flashing these up here.
Yeah, so they went through and they made it. I mean, it's almost not recognizable compared to what it was before.
We ragged on them. Oh man, they totally changed it.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me pull this up. Those sneaky bastards.
So you see where they have the before and after. They may have known. I mean, the thing is, they're a small enough team. Maybe they did. And they were like, okay, let's grime this up.
Nisco says they totally were watching the pod. Somebody had to have been. I mean, come on.
So if you look now, they've made a
this looks good. This looks
effort.
like
That's
a pickup truck in the game. I mean, the fact that they released that first one was ridiculous.
Yeah. So they've got that on there. They've added 20 new islands. So there's 24. So they said, yep, you read it right. We've added 24 new smaller islands, 20 plus new islands. So now they have 24 islands now that they've added around the big island that's on there. So some extra things that you can go discover. They've reworked the lock picking, and they've added some new server admin controls. Other than that, they've added some bug fixes. And there's a note here. I don't know if there's an image at the very bottom. I also have it in the show notes, but they have a comic that they're working on. So they'll be releasing that throughout the development period.
This is very Conan-esque.
Yeah.
With I don't have one in hand, but the Conan released a series of comic book, not a series, a comic book, a full issue. Dark Horse is the comic book publisher, I think. They had Dark Horse publish a Conan Exiles comic book. And this obviously isn't a book, but this is a very similar thing.
Well, I think over time they're going to be continuing the story.
Yeah, they will.
That's the thing, is they have to build up lore behind this game, because the whole thing is based on something happening, right? And the people don't know the story like they do in some other games that they're basing all this on. So I think for them this makes sense. With Conan, they had the ability to pull from all that previous lore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me see. I can
with this, you just know that people that were prisoners are now in some world and they're fighting.
I mean, this
has a very similar look.
This is just a full-fledged comic book. It's super cool. I mean, this was at PAX East in 2017. Super cool. I mean, this is a legitimate Dark Horse Comics comic. I mean, this is as legit as it gets. And this is cool. This is the kind of stuff, and Rat's Tossback says, SCUM with no base building on launch equals failure from the start. I don't disagree with that comment, but these are the kinds of things I think that keep your community give your community that warm and fuzzy feeling like, hey, these guys are actually, they're going above and beyond and doing other things. They're doing other things, and we've noticed that with Conan. They are Conan Exiles is the shining example of a game developer that goes above and beyond. They constantly did these live streams. They did them every week. They went on not just our podcast. They went on Jens Eric went on other podcasts. Very active on social media, community events where build things, will give things away, free copies of the game. Like stellar example of the PR elements of game development, because we've seen, and this is not a slight at the Remnants folks, but when you have no PR and you're just a bunch of developers, that's what happens. You don't tweet that you're even doing a Kickstarter. You tweet it once and you don't tweet for 14 days. You don't publicize it. You don't come on podcasts. You don't have content creators produce YouTube videos. That's the kind of stuff that is so lost when it's just a bunch. And I'm a nerd when you have just a bunch of tech nerds that are making the game doing it. You have to have that PR mind, and clearly somebody in the SCUM team is doing that, because this comic is super cool. So
yeah,
I'll get off
and I think
soapbox.
this is smart of them. I think SCUM, if they can make a nice platform for a game, I think people would gravitate toward it. They really need to open up modding. They need to put in base building, like make it to where you have the ability to exist and get a group to have something that's their own. Right now, it's just you run around. It's like Arma as far as you run around and you shoot at each other. It doesn't have that much more depth to it yet, and I think that's what they're trying to do. So they're also they have a work in progress thing that they posted. They're working on boats right now. They're going to be adding to the game. They're redoing the spawning system a bit to where you can actually spend points, because the whole thing is kind of based on points that you earn from surviving the longest. To where you can choose where you spawn based on. So like you can have a random spawn for the cheapest amount. You can spawn a specific sector for double that amount. If you have enough, you can spawn at a shelter or with a squad mate for the highest amount of points. So also missions and objectives is something they're going to be doing. Achievements, cities they'll be putting in there, and then they have a thing on here for base building. So they're putting into base building. I mean, this is on Unreal. It's really not that hard. I mean, honestly, it's not that hard to do. I mean, you could have something that's way better than Miscreated for $10 if you go to the market, and they've got plenty of graphics guys that can make the assets for them and make that. And that's what they're doing. If you look, it's very custom looking, but I don't know what's taking them so long to at least put these in, because there's kits that are very archish that are very cheap, and they're very, very good. So
there you go.
All right. That's pretty much, I think that's all the news.
Wow. Well, it took us an extra like 15 minutes, but we didn't get to all of it, but we came close.
Yep. We
missed Alice, but we'll
Oh, okay. There was two small patches.
You want to go all into this? I mean, that's fine.
Okay, there's only two small ones.
Okay.
I shouldn't have brought it up. I was very surprised about this, because I put a note on there, says what was the last one we covered. 20.1 was what we did last episode. 21.31 is the current one. Okay, well, version 21 came out, which says optimized how items are networked, resulting in significantly higher performance and less bandwidth usage, and then added the hook hand and the peg leg, which we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Okay, then 21.31 improved structure replication rate from servers. Though this may increase client stalls slightly, clients can reduce their client network bandwidth option value if they are experiencing too many stalls with this change. We recommend 60 kilobytes per second. That's it for the whole week. So there wasn't that much to cover. I mean,
no, they are doing
word for word,
but they are doing that big update in March, so I guess that's expected.
Yes, so they're doing the one that's redesigning the outsource. So we covered all that, what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, listen to episode 216 of the show.
So I think probably because they have that release, like they have a whole side build that's waiting to be released. They're probably not wanting to change it too much, because then they have to change it twice.
Yeah.
So so I'm assuming that's what's going on, but that is Atlas.
All right. And I believe that's the news. Oh, that's all the news.
Yes.
I mean, that's it. That's great.
And we didn't have to say, hey, here's news that we would have talked about.
I know. Hot dog. All right. You want to do current players tip of the week, and then we'll get out of here?
Let's do it. I'll give a game away even.
Oh, wow, that's a real pleasure. That's a real treat. Stay tuned, everybody. We got a new segment coming up. All right, if I can pull my damn card up here. All right, here we go. Current players. Here are games. Who's currently playing them? This number is staggering, and I will update the logo. H1Z1 currently playing 4,756. The 24-hour peak 8,546. The 7-day peak 13,056. For reference, last week the 7-day peak was 1,600 and the 24-hour peak was like 1,024, and the current peak was like 800. So there's your reference. Now the update just came out, so we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. That's H1Z1. That's Z1 Battle Royale, whatever they're calling that game now. All right, moving on over to Ark Survival Evolved. Currently playing 28,154. Your 24-hour peak 41,727 with a 7-day peak of 56,426. Moving on over to Rust. We were talking about Rust today. Currently playing 36,251. The 24-hour peak 51,271 with a 7-day peak of 78,082. How about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds? Currently playing 153,922. Your 24-hour peak 796,397 with a 7-day peak of 904,021. And finally, Brian, Atlas. It's hurting. Update is coming though, so maybe that's why. Currently playing 3,035. 3,834 is your 24-hour peak with a 7-day peak of 6,004. Now, these numbers are like thousands lower from last week. I will say,
because there's a wipe. I mean, there's an incoming wipe.
This is the bad thing about announcing a wipe is you absolutely do see an exodus of players. People take a break and then they'll come back. I don't know why you'd still be playing now. Maybe if you're playing on a private server.
Yeah.
But it'd be stupid to be playing right now. Unless you're just going
to... Actually,
go ahead.
I did want to... Actually, Firebomb brought something up I did want to mention really quick. So, Overkill's The Walking Dead. You haven't heard about that for a while, right?
Brian, news after current players. What's going on?
Sorry. So, I mean, they pretty much have decided to kill Overkill's The Walking Dead.
Yeah, didn't we talk about that?
Yeah, we did talk about some, but there are some articles and things that are pretty interesting that I'll put in the show notes so you can read about it. But it goes into a dive of why they decided to kill it. So I will put a note in the show notes for people that are interested in reading it. And actually, I had Donnie submit this to me. Just didn't put it in today's show notes, but pretty much saying that the game did not live up to the standards of what they thought, and so that's why they pulled it. So, but I'll put that in there so it at least makes it into the show notes for the show.
Saul is making a good comment. There may be a correlation between games we talk about and games that die. You know, I'm just.
We're the cause that are we the reason they die?
I'm just saying.
So,
I don't know.
I just man, this one, the way that they did the cutscenes and things for it were so good. Like it looked like it was going to be an awesome game. The game when it came out looked nothing like it. But nothing like it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a big open world zombie, like you're working your way through a really cool deep world. That's not. It ended up being a what's the bank robbing one? Payday. It was a Payday clone. Is what it ended up being. So, anyways, that was that was it. But that was pretty much they are ending that game. So
exciting.
Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and go to tip of the week, where either I'll talk about a specific game or a general gaming tip. This week, since we played some Zira, I'll be talking about that. So this is tip of the week. All right. So in Zero, there's kind of an interesting mechanic that I haven't seen too much in other games, and that is the drones that they use. So you can use a drone. You can use it to either scout out maybe enemy players, track where they're going, or maybe you are looking to see if there are bots and different robots that are wandering through an area, see if it's safe. You can use the drone for that, but if you are using it to track another player, you need to keep in mind that that might alert them to your presence. If they can hear, because they can hear that drone, then that will tell them that somebody is around. Also, another thing you can do is actually kamikaze the drones into other players, so that maybe if they do notice you, just try to run the drone into them and cause some damage. You want to keep in mind also that the drone battery life is limited, so you can't just fly around forever with those things once you start them up. So do it for a limited amount of time. Maybe bring it back and pick it back up if you want to keep using it. But that is the drone, and we had a lot of fun with it when we were playing with it this past week, flying it around and just kind of seeing how it worked. But the drones work very well. We actually had somebody who was kind of stalking us and tracking us, and we saw a drone come around that they were using to keep track of us. So it is a very interesting mechanic, and I haven't really seen anyone else do it, so I thought I would bring it up. So that is tip of the week.
I got to pass along Goddess comment. Said this podcast has saved me tons of money. Anything hyped here, don't buy.
There we go.
Hey. Come on, Goddess.
Overkill's The Walking Dead. Yeah. Friday the 13th, H1Z1.
H1Z1
Dead Matter. How you can't say Dead Matter? Dead Matter's not even out yet.
Yeah, that's the problem. And that's how it's dead. They've delayed. I mean, we were hyped over SCUM. Brian, there's a correlation here. We need to get out of the podcast business. I mean, we got a problem here. We're just, you know what?
People need to start paying us not to promote their games. Is that what you're saying?
Hey, this is a money opportunity. I can quit my job.
Yeah.
Hey,
we won't hype your game for the right price.
Yeah. You know what though? We were right about is that stupid Sean Murphy game, that damn No Man's Sky. We were right about that one.
Hey, it ended up being pretty good.
Nobody plays it, and he lied for like 2 years.
Nobody plays it, yeah. It ended up being a good game. Oh, so what can you think of our game that's really successful? Ark was successful.
Apex, does that count?
We didn't hype that. That came out in the middle. There's no hype for that.
Oh Jesus.
PUBG is still. You could say PUBG is successful. I mean, they're pulling almost 1 million people.
Firebomb says you killed Islands of Nine.
Islands of Nine, yeah. That one I tried. I tried my best to keep that one alive. Kickstarted it and everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Remnants was a great Kickstarter. We had a lot to do with that success. And
someday.
Now that I think about it, every game we talk about is an abysmal failure.
Conan.
You're right. Actually, no, you're right. We hyped Conan, and Conan is correct. Conan has got a boatload of players right now. Yep. They just did do a free weekend. That's why I didn't cover it in current players because the numbers were all over the place. But Conan is a good game.
Yeah. So there you go. So there it is possible. Now, Nick was the one who was yelling at the F-13 developers at PAX one year, so I can't say that we were good fans of them.
I verbally assaulted them during their little press conference thing. It wasn't that bad. Yeah. It wasn't that bad. All right, it wasn't that bad.
You yelled out. It's on camera. We have proof.
All right. Brian, where can people find game giveaway?
All right, so let's go ahead and roll for this, and this is for Immortal Redneck. So we will close this and draw. So congratulations, Firebomb, longtime viewer of the show.
Yes.
And I will send you a message in Discord with your key. So congratulations.
Yeah, and good idea. If you're not in our Discord server, you can do so, or follow us on Twitter too, our social media at InfectionCast. That's a good way to keep up to date. We don't tweet a whole lot, but when there's an issue with the show, a reschedule, something like that, or news. We retweet news and whatnot. Every once in a while, I'll leave a smarky comment at one of the H1Z1 developers on the Infection account. Brian will be like, "Hey,
which ones are left? We can't find them anymore."
Brian will be like, "Hey, did you mean to tweet this?" I'm like, yep. Yes, I did. Don't mind me. So,
that's right.
that's hey, what are you gonna do?
All right. If you want to find me at Voice Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com, and make sure you go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. Join our Discord if you want to suggest news throughout the week, want to hang out, maybe participate in H1Z1 or Z1 Battle Royale or whatever it is on this Friday. Also, we have on there links to our Steam group. So if you want to get notifications before the live show starts, we have links to our YouTube channel or Twitch. If you want to join us live, we happen to be at your computer on a Tuesday evening. And then all of our audio forms. So it's all on our website and show notes for every single episode that we have done. infectionpodcast.com.
Yes, sir. Brian, this may be one of the longest episodes we've ever done. We're at 225.
Are we? My wife's going to be mad.
Yeah, whatever. It's your fault. You kept
I think she's asleep.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, everybody. Well, Friday night, we're going to be playing Z1 Battle Royale. Hopefully, you'll join us. It's free. Please install beforehand so you're all ready to go. Get in there, launch the game. Make sure you have no problems. I'm looking forward to it. I will be there Friday night. Somebody will, if not, somebody can hold me accountable. But I will be there Friday night. So join us for that. All right, Mr. Aldrich, thank you, as always, for getting everything together, and feel better, and we'll chat with you here next Tuesday.
Very good.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, well, thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday evening. If you missed any part of the show, of course, you can visit our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at InfectionCast. My name is Nick Craig. My Twitter is at Nicholas M. Craig. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.